Well, how's it going, everybody? It's the third week in a row we're doing this, and I know a little late and all that stuff, but I appreciate everybody turning out when it comes to this stuff because this is an idea that I've had for quite a while at this point, and it's interesting. It's interesting because these are ideas. This entire dating situation, relationships, if you will, red pill ideology. And that's the way that I'd like to characterize it and phrase it. Because hey, that's what I've been thinking about, and some ideas that I've been gestating for. I think I'd pin it around the end of 2014. That's when I really started to get into this stuff, and it was all thanks to, probably the originator, at least on the big time, at least, Patrice O'Neill. If you haven't heard of him, him alongside the Black Phillip show. What is there, like 13 episodes of those? It's funny because at some point in time, I'll probably go through those. Oh, because they're dated, right? They're from 2006. I think some of those is far back. They go back that far, and some of the terminology does need a bit of updating, but in the grand scheme of things, it's all still relative. It's all still actionable material. It just needs a fresh coat of paint, if you will. So I'll probably go over those in some point of time whenever there's not as pressing issues to go on. And this idea for this specific live stream came up because, I seen Ben Shapiro, and again, it's like, I don't know why I can't just figure out where the mouse goes. I wish I had a stand-up table and all that stuff, but it really does. Where the hell was I at that point? But yeah, no, it all came up because I seen that Ben Shapiro decided that, he needs to wade in on all this stuff, and it's like, great, so we're going to be getting relationship advice from somebody who wifed up the first person that made his pee-pee go hard. And it's like, why is that relevant? Why do I need to hear from you when it comes to this stuff? So we're going to be going through everybody that you see on the thumbnail. And I don't dislike these guys when it comes to political matters, and whenever it comes to these tradcon type situations. Normally, regularly speaking, I'd agree with them on most of the talking points. I think that, Daily Wire, when it comes to politics, is all right. Like, it's just like Ron DeSantis, really. They hit the easy talking points very, very well, very, very hard, and they're fantastic at doing that. But when they start to stray outside of their specific lane, that's when it gets a little bit touchy. And then especially when it starts to delve into the relationship portion of this stuff, then they just completely lose track of everything. So that's why, given the fact that old Benny boy wanted to wade in specifically, and let's just go. I got the first one that's up here. I'm waiting between the two because I've got quite a few clips of Michael Knowles, because when it comes to both of all three of them that are up there, I probably dislike Michael Knowles the least. Like, I think he's pretty decent when it comes to the major talking heads that are over there. He's all right. He's all right. He's definitely the guy that if I had to listen to anybody on Daily Wire, not of like Jordan Peterson or something, even though he's kind of been a little bit flumpy lately. He'd be somebody who I'd listen to. When I was listening to more podcasts outside of just the ones that I normally stick to, I was giving his a shot, but it just was kind of the exact same stuff that you check from everybody else. So there wasn't enough differentiation, at least to keep my attention when it came to that. But in the grand scheme of things, he's all right. Okay. Matt Walsh, on the other hand, one trick pony. What is a woman? You don't actually want that answer, because if you did, you'd have to find a new grift. But that dude, doing more research on him, I found out that's been his shtick for like the better part of a decade at this point in time. Like, this guy really needs to develop, and I got some stuff when it comes to him. Okay. More or less, the Daily Wire, because it's been kind of a slow news cycle for them for a while, and they could only really grift off the Steven Crowder situation for so long. They've been delving deep into reacting to whatever podcast clips. Now, that's the name of the pod. They're running this dating. They're taking all of the basic bitch elements of Fresh and Fit and then just extrapolating them out, and it's wildly popular for them. But the way that Brian Kidd runs the show, he just lets the girls go wild for hours, collects all of the revenue, and then just sends them back to the streets because they're more than willing to do that. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, okay? It's just, it doesn't make for compelling viewing, at least for me. Somebody coming from, Fresh and Fit, who I've been watching for, over a year at this point in time. I think that Myron provides insane value, and Fresh has a very nice and expensive wardrobe, and Chris, if somebody would cut his mic, the show would become incredibly more valuable. But no, you actually get value from Myron's perspective, which is a big reason why, outside of Ben, who we will get to very, very shortly. Well, not really very shortly, because this one we could be going for a while, but I just want to listen to some relevant points for a couple of the smaller kids, for Knowles, for Walsh. I don't necessarily know where I want to start. Maybe with Walsh. Probably with Knowles, though. At least we'll start off on a good foot. I know that Walsh is just going to make me upset because I forget. What the fuck was it? Talked about him on a video a while back, and he's fine, I guess. And again, he crushes the can of transgenderism extremely well. But yeah, differentiating from any other points that are out there, it's a bit tough. So we'll probably start with Knowles here, and I'm just going to check. I'll run through the chats here, see if there's anybody in here. I have no idea. We started a little bit later than usual. I'm sorry. I was busy. I had a bunch of other shit to do. So shout out to everybody watching me on Rumble. I know it's a big day for Rumble that's over there. Okay, I think, what's his nuts there? Gideon, who I'm a little concerned about over there, but I've got some. I like Rumble. You guys know that I like Rumble, but the way that the CEO is running the show right now, like, I haven't really watched that much Gideon content. The most significant thing that I know about him, he got banned off of Twitch for taking a swipe at Pokimane. I know for most people, those words mean absolutely nothing to you. But to celebrate a signing of somebody who's banned off of one of your major competitors, and to say that that's such a coup, and then to go on this entire screed that, I only want game changers instead of trying to grow your local talent. Here's what I'm thinking, and here's the corollary that I will draw on this one. It seems like, and take it with a grain of salt, because I love Rumble and everything that they're doing over there. It's a fantastic platform, and now that I got it working and we're on the main channel, which is terrific after all, it's it's a lot like when TNA wrestling. Okay, I know, different take on this one. It's a lot like when TNA wrestling started to snatch up all of the old Fed guys in the late 2000s instead of focusing on their smaller brands themselves and developing them from there. Casting aside the Chris Sabins, Alex Shelley's, Abysses, all in service of Rob Van Dam, Booker T, Kevin Nash. Trying to poach the talent that's only there because you're offering them a big bag instead of people that genuinely like your platform. That's just what I see so far. I got a little taste of that, okay? Or I'm sorry, just a little inkling of that. Could be completely wrong when it comes to that stuff, but I'm not seeing very many people being incentivized to move over. But without further ado, we got some people over on Rumble. We got some people over on YouTube, and yeah, I think it's about time, but I forgot my headphones, so just forgive me for 1 second, and then we'll go right at it. So I'll just go back to the pause screen for a second. So just pause for a second. Pause. Let's see. All right. I got the old headphones this time around, so it doesn't echo or anything like that. So, given the fact that we've got a whole bunch of clips right here, and hey, I know it's tough out here right now. Okay, got enough people. Yeah, died F and F. Yeah, you definitely got it. Hey, what's up, Roger, man? Great to see you guys in here. So, shout out to you guys. So, first and foremost, we're going to start with Michael Knowles. Okay, like I said, I want to get off on a good foot when it comes to this stuff. Okay, see if there's anybody over here. Let's rock the trad cuck roast and be. Yes, you bet you over there. Hey, you got somebody over on Rumble. So I'll be hopping in on the chats and, trying to bounce between the two, and the best I can do right now until I get a second monitor or figure out how to bifurcate the big one that I have right here. I'll be bouncing between the two, so if you see me staring down at the phone, I'll be hopping in between there. So what we've got here, I've got a few different clips for Michael Knowles, and I like the guy. I think he's all right. He's definitely the best of the bunch, but the first indication that I thought, and it's like, okay, he's the guy who's going to be offering dating advice. Oh, okay. So he hopped on the Andrew Tate bandwagon. When's this video from? So this is his response, or his opinion on Andrew Tate. Like, you can look at the tags right there, and given the fact that it had already got 1 million views, you know exactly what time it is. So 6 months ago, so that would have been in November. Real timely shit that you have right there. But he was reacting to a bunch of different clips, and the one that I seen him pick out, it was the second one that was down there. Obviously, you can kind of take a look at the bar and you know exactly which one. It's the second one, okay? The first one where he's going through a bunch of different clips there as well. But yeah, he puts down one of the tags is selfish on top of Andrew Tate and Hustlers University. Selfish, huh? Interesting. For somebody who I know exactly what he's going to be interjecting there to begin with. Don't fucking give up your day job or change all that much. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into this. Make sure I got all the sound. Make sure that everything sounds good. So, let's try this. Got that one up. All right, let's roll.
That last clip is absolutely right. Okay, next one.
If you're not going to have children, what are you going to do with your lives?
If I'm not going to have children, travel, just pursue anything that makes me happy.
This is Fresh and Fit had to take down, god damn it, all of their Andrew Tate content, and funnily enough, it was
make money.
Jesus Christ, it was something else that I had to do. Well, it was something that I was threatened with because I did a 3-hour long breakdown of Tate's final message, and then it got taken down by YouTube, which is absolutely ludicrous. They didn't give me any reason. It was like the termination of my second channel. You violated a policy. Which one? One of them. Okay, fantastic. But at least that was an appeal that I ended up winning. So I was like, the fuck ended up happening. But no. They had, oh my god, how many different panel shows? Like 3 or 4 of them, which kind of sucks because I want to go through, and then when they put it up over on Rumble, because they have Andrew and they had Tristan on the second half of one of their I think it was their most popular live stream, and there's so many gems that are dropped in that one, and I'd love to go through that one, but currently, as of right now, nobody has it up, but this panel right here is actually still up on their channel. I don't want to press too hard on that one, but this one's up there, mostly because in the thumbnail, Andrew's not there, and there's no direct reference to Andrew. They had their style for thumbnails at the time were all the girls on the balcony, so it's like, oh, I remember that one, that's familiar, and then press it, and it's like, oh, Andrew's on there. But yeah, this is, because holy shit, it's like 4 hours long, but this is some gems right here. These are gems.
I love traveling, so I would probably just
drink cocktails on the beach. Okay, next.
About the same thing, like travel, focus on my career.
A life without children is vapious. And it's inane and it's pointless. And you may sit here and think that your career matters, but the truth is that your job will fire you at a whim and not give a second, don't give a solitary. And when you're 52 and you're past it with no grandchildren in a house by yourself, and all your friends have grandchildren in this beautiful life, and you're
that chick with the little curly cues on the side there, oh my god, she was a fucking train wreck. She's from some Central American country, and she vehemently disagrees with all that. The other one just came out of the I forget which branches of the armed forces, but she was going through a divorce, and she's like, yeah, I'm making some bad life choices, but by the end, she started to really change up her tune quite a bit.
Sitting there by yourself, do you think the fact that you could afford a few extra Gucci bags is going to genuinely make you feel happy? I was at my grandmother's 93rd birthday. I stood there and I looked at my 93-year-old grandmother, and there was a room, a whole room full with maybe 70 people that came from that one woman. Isn't that remarkable?
Yeah,
that nobody cared about her career. Nobody asked what job she did. Nobody asked how many times she went to the club. Nobody asked if she had time to go to festivals. No, you had 70 sentient beings, including myself, full of life from one woman who dedicated herself to being a mother and a good wife. That is beautiful. And if you sit here and genuinely think that you're going to work your ass off through your fertile years, and by the age of 54, you're not going to be suicidal alone with a cat, then you're dumb. The happiest women on earth have children and a man who's paying the bills and their mothers.
He's very close to right, but he's missing something.
Take a wild guess what the trad cuck is going to say. Oh, guess what's missing here? No, he's again, Tate's 1 bajillion% correct on that one. Okay. Know your life choices. Know that your choices right now are going to have long lasting consequences into the future. A 93-year-old grandmother, however many dozens of people, it was 50 some odd people around there. Yeah. All came from one woman's decision to be feminine, to value family over experiences, and to be the antithesis of the modern woman. But no, please tell us what we're missing, old Senior Knowles.
He's pretty much as right as you can be if you're a kind of atheist, modernist, materialist, capitalist, thisist and thatist.
How do you take any, how do you get there? How do you get there at that point?
Generally speaking, women who have children are much more fulfilled, and that's certainly going to be more edifying than working at the widget factory for Mr. McGillicuddy so that you can go to brunch a little bit more and buy some more handbags. That's totally true. But what that worldview leaves out is, one, women who can't have kids.
Oh my god, the exception doesn't disprove the rule, you fucking mongoloid. You can adopt, though.
Fertility, big problem, and it affects a lot of people.
Can you cite your source? Like, of course, there's some chicks with broken, I was about to say the really bad word, but there's some, infertile women. How about that one? There are some of those that do exist out there, but here's the thing, that makes up such a small percentage. But if you want to talk about infertility, how about all these chicks that you're also trying to placate to, that 35 to 40, 45-year-old crowd that was told by society for so long, and that you think that, oh, if we just usher them towards the church, you're going to find one of those guys and they're going to forgive your past and somebody's just going to wife up these hoes. He's about to drop the God pill.
And two, women who genuinely are not called to have kids. There are some women, I think, who are not called to have kids.
Again, it's like you take this just galaxy-brained take on what Tate had to say, okay? He said, women in general are going to be more fulfilled, and you're out here saying, no, some women can't have kids, and they just aren't called to have kids. You're going to find through everybody that we're going to be watching here tonight, everybody has the same stupid moralistic message. Dude, just look at the facts. Assess what is real, what is in your feelings, and you would come to a much more complete conclusion. That little Tumblr that's right beside him, oh yeah, leftist tears. Where did that all stem from? It stemmed from his boss saying, what, facts don't care about your feelings. Oh, but if they're his feelings, then it's fine. Gotcha.
And there are other vocations for them. And I use the word vocation specifically because some women are called to religious life. I think a woman who becomes a nun can have a wonderfully fulfilling life.
Okay, here, fucking Christ. Okay, what do you think is a higher population? Infertile women or bitches in the nunnery? It's like you are looking at the fringe of the fringe in order to justify your arguments.
A woman who gives her entire life to God is going to have a wonderfully fulfilling life. The nuns that I know are serene, peaceful, doing wonderful things for the world. So his criticism is right. What he's really doing is not even extolling the virtues of getting married and having kids. He's really just criticizing this modern capitalist idea that all that matters is how much money you can make and how many widgets you can do spreadsheets for and how many brunches you have, you know, how many mimosas you got to down on Sunday. And that's all true.
That's the like, have you not been on Instagram? It's like all of these guys are all over social media. Well, they don't own and operate them, thanks to Daily Wire contracts, and shout out Steven Crowder for exposing this nonsense. But that's all Instagram is. That's what because women are more impressionable. Not saying this is wrong, not saying it's good, it's not saying it's bad or anything like that, just saying this is what it is. Women are more impressionable thanks to social media, and that's all that they see, that's all that they post. You take a look at your average chick that's out there, you take a look at the reels, you take a look at the stories that are out there, it's always some chick with, you know, just sitting at a table. Funnily enough, all these bitches dine alone, okay? They just have a drink that's there, or they just got a plate of food, and they're in these fantastical locales. But how did you get there? Oh, okay, cool. You don't want to give up the ghost and the fact that, yeah, you know, you need to provide services. You need to provide equal or a service of equal or greater value in return. Very interesting, but again, yeah, try to justify really bad decisions, or I'm sorry, try to justify very poor rationale and extrapolation of a very good talking point by infusing the God pill. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
That's all worthy of criticizing, but then he's only offering the kind of capitalist alternative.
By saying you would be fulfilled if you had a family. That's a capitalist alternative.
Absent a kind of view of the world that involves God. And that
Jesus! It's so funny. That's so funny. I wonder, because, well, I guess I'm not too sure of the timeline when it comes to Tate on this one. Was he the Orthodox Christian at that point in time? Like, he at least had a respect for God. And then, of course, with all the Fresh and Fit interviews specifically, like, they have the one original one that was up there, the first one from May of 2021, I think, or something like that. But he also had a sit-down interview at this point in time, which is a banger of an interview, and I still haven't posted or anything like that. But he at least had a respect for God, so he already comes into, because, yeah, you can take a look at the tags, and I know that Michael Knowles or Matt Walsh or Andrew Klavan or Ben Shapiro don't write the tags or any of the metadata in any of the videos or any of the streams that they do. God forbid they'd muddy themselves. They have fake microphones to talk into. It's like, we can see the lab stupid. What a fucking stupid prop. But already coming into this, it's like, oh, he's just going to be an amoral fuckboy, and he's just not going to have any principles. It's like, Tate's one of the most principled people when you actually listen to what he has to say. But all right, you do you, pal.
Involves duty, and that involves religion. And so and that involves the kind of natural suffering that goes along in a fallen world, such as infertility. He's close. I just suspect that this guy's view of the world is kind of too narrow, and maybe, I haven't heard him speak about religion, but it seems to be missing the most important element, which is God. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then that's where we're going to move over to him being on the Whatever podcast. Now, I've seen, not this specifically, and we've only got like a 12-minute long clip here, so I'm not... Of all of these clips, because I've got, let me just count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Could watch 7 or 8 of them, and it's just going to be bits and pieces of it. Like that one there, I just wanted the context, and then to just set the scene. Somebody who we'd never have to confront in person, somebody who we'd never really have to justify his poor rationale on. So instead, he can take all of his, oh, you better repent right now, young lady. You better give up your whoring ways and get back to the church. He can go do that to a bunch of 80 IQ brainless that are just going to babble and go, well, I want a guy who's like 6 feet tall, has a 6-pack abs, and makes 6 figures a year. It's just basic bitch shit. But he is talking about, in this clip, and there are so many clips on it, and I've talked about this before in a couple of different videos as well. Daily Wire, or PragerU, or The Blaze, or whatever the fuck is going to be out there. Oh, see, appropriate, whatever. They're going to try to do a show like this before the end of the year, and it's all going to be centered around all of those Daily Wire, and the quotation marks are going to be using or doing a lot of the heavy lifting on this one, personalities, in order to do a more sanitized, nice, clean version of Whatever podcast, which is already just the sanitized, weak, bitched up version of Fresh and Fit. So what does he have to say? If you're going to have a life partner, just get married. See, ladies, all of your bad decisions will be forgiven if you just bathe in the grace of the Lord. Get the fuck out of here.
You see people bring up toxic masculinity, and a lot of times people bring it up because they just hate masculinity. So they say, all masculinity is toxic. But there is a toxic kind of masculinity, right? Mm-hmm. There is a way where...
Not really? Could you cite your source on that one? Toxic type of masculinity. I know, we all hear this from time to time. It's kind of like saying that there's justified and unjustified variations of murder. Is that appropriate? I think so. It's like there are toxic and non-toxic individuals, but the concept of masculinity being toxic in and of itself, if you're actually engaged with learned individuals, but you said the right things and now they're engaged, it's like, yes, guys are bad, and tell us more about how we just only need to forgive and repent and all of our bad decisions will be forgiven. How many fake eyelashes do you see?
Men who basically have no good role models just decide to perform to try to pretend they're Conan the Barbarian or something like that. And it's very...
Who actually does that, by the way? Okay, this is the exact same stupid things. Like, those alpha males that are online. Aside of somebody referring to themselves as an alpha male in a joke, how many of the legitimate guys in this type of sphere? Like for me, I've got 4 people that I respect and listen to on these topics. Okay, Rollo Tomasi, author of The Rational Male. I've got 4 of the 5 books. John, Modern Life Dating. I think he runs an incredibly good show, and he's the guy who coined the term money, muscles, game, frame, which is... I don't think that there is a more perfect encapsulation of what a guy is pursuing in all avenues of self-improvement. I think it's great. Tate, of course, that kind of goes without saying. And then Myron of Fresh and Fit. Like, that's who I would consider. And then a couple of other guys who regularly are on those different shows or running those same spheres, but... none of them have those tactics that, look at me, look at how great I am, check out all of my wares. It's like, that shit doesn't fucking exist. This is some sort of straw man that you erected in the field of trad cuckery, where it's like, see, look at the bad guy that's over there. I don't know, man. Maybe it's the 21 convention. Like, I don't fucking know.
You're silly.
Just toxic stupidity, maybe.
Yeah.
It just always looks like you're overcompensating for something.
Right.
So I sort of almost reject this concept of toxic masculinity because I feel like it needlessly genders behavior. Because I have. Am I toxically masculine?
I don't know, but I feel like
how do you really feel?
I feel like there definitely is toxic masculinity. I don't think all masculinity is
Oh.
bad.
Can I
There
say?
are good. There is
Go ahead,
good.
Victoria.
Yeah, I mean, some people tell me that you kind of like blame women a lot. It's like you
Oh,
put
wow,
like
okay,
a
this
lot
is a
of
therapy
that's
session.
a toxic masculinity where you kind of
I blame. What do
yeah,
I
you
blame
blame
women?
women.
For your
Like you have
problems,
this like
I don't blame women for my
it's like you
problems.
tell their lie. You kind of create this
So, hold it again. Like, this is always so funny to point out, and it's all over social media, especially. Whenever a guy or guys in general point out the woman's shortcomings or something like that, some people do it in very blunt ways, and others will, just say, "Oh, you're kind of being loud and obnoxious," or you're fat. That's not beautiful. Whenever a guy has standards, it's always pilloried and it's always taken to the extreme. There was something recently about what was it? Oh, sorry. Surgeries or something like that. It was, we need to stop enforcing female beauty standards, and women are undergoing harmful and dangerous surgeries. And it's like, so instead of going to the gym, you're going to go under the knife. But then it also harkens to another idea that's underneath of that as well. Whenever a guy professes his standards, it's taken to the extreme. It's literal murder when a guy has a standard and says that he likes a shapely ass or a full rack. No. That's dangerous, and that's toxic and misogynist, because you should love somebody for who they are, not who they could be. Which is exactly the reason why all of those girls are more than likely single, and why they also wouldn't give a regular guy a chance. He's just being his natural self, working his, part-time job, stocking shelves at Walmart. He's being his authentic, he's just being him. these bitches will never fucking tell you what actually attracts them. They might tell you, they might tell you what can attract them to somebody, but they'll never tell you what actually arouses them, you know. Something that will get said guy through the door, but yeah, they'll just tell you the socially acceptable, politically correct attraction triggers.
Image that women are bad, and you continuously put it out there for young men to like be like, oh, I don't want to get married, like I will just date women for like as long as I want. Why not?
That you don't want to get married?
No.
No.
Why not?
All right.
Why would you get married in today's day and age? Let's see how he tries to shame the I was gonna call him he's the fine guy. You know what? I will give the host. I think his name's Brian, right? I will definitely give him props on this one. Excellent capitalist. He knows what works. He's seen what works. I've seen him in the chats of some of the old Fresh and Fit videos that was in there. So he definitely picked the parts that worked for him, and he took it out west where just the dumbest bitches alive live.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 1v7. Okay. Well, so I'm not opposed to necessarily having a life partner, but there are certain. I'm sorry, Michael. There are certain realities when it comes to marriage that, from the male perspective, make it seem risky.
Oh, only from the male perspective? Because I can feel like it's also risky from the female perspective.
How so?
I think you've never been in love.
I feel like...
Oh my God. Who hurt you, Brian?
If you're thinking about risk factor, I feel like it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Okay. What? Okay, before they just bitch babble into something else, what are the actual risks for women? Okay, like you can, again, like I'm sure Michael Knowles will point to the extremes as well. Oh, there's also, there's changing statistics when it comes to alimony. What is it, down from 90 to 89%? Okay, just because Adele and Kelly Clarkson had to pay, fucking palimony. It's like that automatically just balances the overwhelming majority of risks associated to marriage in the modern sense. When you involve the government, if you want to do a religious ceremony, fucking A rights. But there is no benefit at all whatsoever for a guy. Oh, you can raise a kid. I'm sorry, in a long-term committed relationship with equal access to the child, you can still successfully raise a kid, very much so. Easy box. Oh, yeah, no, you just set it up for women to leverage the box, so I generally don't see anything. Oh, tax benefits? Again, vastly outweighed if you want to take financiality and then just put it into a big bucket right there. Couple $100, maybe a few $1,000s in tax savings, as opposed to the ever looming threat of a bitch just waking up one morning going, I don't love you anymore, taking half your shit, bye.
Okay, they're turning on me.
Well, but to your point, Brian, you make a good amount of money. The way the judicial system works, if a woman divorced you, she could take a bunch of your money, she could take your kids. So there's a risk. But my question is, if you're already going to have a life partner, which sounds, I'm sorry to say, kind of gay, like it's not gendered, it's not traditional.
Thank you for saying that.
It's just if you're going to do that anyway, but you want to protect against divorce, why not just marry a woman who's not going to get divorced?
How the fuck do you ensure that? I'm just saying, man, like, I'm a big advocate for vetting your girl and all that stuff, but again, a real man would marry a woman. See how the moralism starts to come into this stuff? Oh, if you were a real man, who hurt you? Just shut up.
Or get a prenup.
Literally.
So you're saying, like, well, if you find a great woman that that's
not even just that. I'm saying, because you could find the most wonderful woman in the world, and then I don't know, someday something goes off in her brain and she totally turns on you. But what if you create the structures such that you're not going to get divorced? I'll give you an example. I'm Catholic. My wife and I cannot get divorced. She could murder me. That would be her way out of the marriage. But it is not possible for us to get divorced.
Oh, that's right. How many Catholics? Right. Catholics never get divorced at all whatsoever. That just doesn't exist, right? Are you having a laugh? Yes. Oh, you said till death do us part. Yeah, but have you seen the dick on the pool boy? It's unfucking believable. Imagine it's so nice that some people can have that much faith.
Now, if let's say you're not Catholic yet, and maybe you don't, you haven't worked through these things. Maybe.
Wait, did you say yet?
We're just talking. And okay. So I'm saying, what if before you get married, you sign a prenup? But not the kind of prenup now. Not the kind of prenup where you say, okay, in case we get divorced, we get 50-50. What if you sign a prenup that says, if you divorce me,
I will kill you.
Yeah, I'll kill you. Whoever brings the divorce forfeits everything. That's the Knowles prenup. And then you're safe. She's not going to take your kids, and she's not going to take your money. And you get to be married and not have a life partner.
Sure. I mean,
how could that? Because that's interesting. Because there's always going to be a workaround whenever it comes to prenup. Oh no, they're ironclad prenups that That's interesting. Okay, but as bad of a bet as a marriage in general is when it involves the state. And again, religious ceremonies and all that stuff, fantastic stuff. You go ahead and you go do that. And then there's some states, and then just about every province, I do believe, if you cohabitate with a woman, which is another bag of worms in and of itself, for 7 years, you're immediately common law married, and everything applies there without having to go through the ceremony. So fan-fucking-tastic.
And I'd love to bring on a family attorney to ask him questions about this, but kind of what I've heard and my understanding when it comes to prenuptial agreements is that oftentimes they can be thrown out, and I don't think prenups can apply to post-marriage. So you can protect your assets that you've acquired pre-marriage.
Yeah, it's called a post-nup. It's pretty standard stuff. If he's actually going to try to bring value to his audience, hey, shout out to him. It's just, another lifted concept.
I could be totally off base here, but I've heard prenups can get thrown out. Someone could say, I was signed it under duress, blah, blah, blah. It's unfair. It's there's a specific term for it that's evading me right now. It's
But is that why you don't want to get married? Because you're afraid of the divorce potentially?
Afraid of women.
Why not just date another successful woman?
Do you have trust issues, Brian?
Well, this
sounds like
you have trust issues.
It's just Michael and the girl.
Isn't that wonderful? Okay, you can just see the feminine framing in Michael Knowles' mind. But no. He comes with it. Hey, he's got Jesus and he's got love on his side. It's like it's the exact same shit, man. Like, come on.
Else here, intervening with you, Brian.
Like, if you date another successful woman, wouldn't that fear kind of disappear? Because then, if any,
have you ever? Oh my God, these bitches are so dumb. Anyways, no, I've been trying to write a message in the Rumble chat for like a fucking hot second, but I just keep half listening to this stuff as well. Dave Ramsey is a total fucking tool bag. There we go. Got it across that way. Okay, but anyways, no, because what the fuck was she saying? Why don't you just marry a successful woman? Okay, well, they're a small majority, okay, of women that are out there anyways. Your CEO types, your independent boss babes, which is exactly a perfect marriage candidate, right? Independent boss babe. So you already have a disagreeable, argumentative, strong-willed, basically a masculinized female. A fucking dude with tits. Do you want to marry that? Is somebody who's... in and of himself, a very successful podcast hoster himself. Do you think he's really opining for that? Does he take a look across the table at these vacuous, albeit somewhat attractive women? I don't know. What are we looking at there? They're all fine. At least they're in shape, sort of. But he's not really jonesing for that. Like, you're not going to shame somebody into getting into an unconscionable contract. Like, good luck, I guess. This is why he needs a co-host, like, real bad.
anything, it's like, she could be scared of your money.
What if she's more successful than you?
Or something
what if
like
she's
that?
making more money than you are?
Yeah.
Impossible. Have you seen the super chats that have just shown up across the bottom of the screen? Like, holy.
Like, why are we assuming that you're the breadwinner?
You want a wife, right? I mean, you want to... not
apparently not.
Maybe he wants to be.
He wants a life partner, Mike. He wants a life partner.
Yeah, well, you're right. Okay,
he wants
maybe
a dog.
that does sound. Like
you know what?
Do you just want a maid? And it's like, yes, if she shuts the fuck up.
Big now is virtual girlfriends, virtual wives. It's a thing now.
Like this
AI?
one.
What is
You get an AI one?
What is a
or he'll just
virtual
be a
wife?
You know,
He wants a dog
in the
that speaks
future,
English.
Yeah.
But she could take all the
And that he wouldn't
But
get in
it's like
trouble
a thing
for.
in the future now. You can have a virtual. It's like an AI, but it will interact
We're
with
figuring
you.
out your love life
Just
here,
like,
Brian.
Yeah.
Like
Siri.
Why aren't you
Just put
married?
all your
That
faith
is
into
probably
us
gonna
and we can
happen.
figure it out for you.
Yeah, we'll figure out all your love life
We really want to get to
issues.
the root of this problem.
Yeah.
I I don't see the benefit.
This is why I asked, don't you want a wife?
Of having a companion?
I can have a companion and not be married. And I'm not a fan of the government, so I don't want the government involved in my love
But
affairs.
if you live with someone more than 10 years, you're going to
be legally married.
It's a common law marriage anyway.
Well,
yeah, and then you should also, here's, I get, maybe a spicy, I don't really think so. Unless you're going to be marrying somebody within the next 6 months, or you're, yeah, that's about the only reason. I was trying to think of another one, but yeah, why you're cohabitating with somebody is just absolutely stupid. Duh, you get easy access to sex and you can save your money. Well, if you're worried about penny pinching now, it's only going to get worse into the future, stupid. So just go ahead and if you want to live with somebody, if you're worried about being lonely or something like that, just live with other competitive, like-minded men, or I don't know, just earn more money, stupid. How about that?
That's only some states. Not all states have common law marriage. California.
Okay. We do.
I don't know how long. No, California does not have common law marriage.
Yeah, we do. My parents are by that.
Yeah, well, your parents fucking lied to you. They're stupid. Sucks to suck. I would take as somebody who probably does this on a daily basis, not me, the host, he probably knows his shit a little bit better than, no offense, somebody whose IQ you could write down in a single digit. They're all dumb.
No, not California. I'm pretty sure California is not common law marriage.
Yeah, no.
That's the only reason my mom is still on my dad's
Google it.
I'll do common law marriage.
They're legally
states.
married by the state, but they've never been. They haven't been dating since 2001.
So
they dated for 1 year.
Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Montana, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, and DC. Those are the only, according to this Sterling.
Your very quick Google search. Your 2-second search.
So I think it's a minority of states that have common law marriage, but yes, that is.
Oh wow! Shout out to him. Yeah,
is a risk factor in those states if you are cohabitating with somebody and you almost treat your relationship as if you're married, then you are basically, in the eyes of the law, you are married. Luckily in California, which I don't know how much longer I'm going to stay here.
What, you don't like to give? Oh shit! With the Biden tax plan, like 60% of your income. Yeah, fuck it. There's no benefit to live in California outside of the weather, but you could also get that sort of in Florida or in Nevada. It's just it's a little more arid, but.
Probably gonna get canceled by proxy because Michael's on the show, but just kidding. But
maybe kidding. I don't know. You
imagine thinking you're gonna get canceled by sitting next to somebody who is just lecturing you about you don't have enough God in your life. All right then.
Probably the franchise tax board is going to come and evict you. Probably.
Oh, jeez, scary stuff. So I don't have anything against for other people. That's great. I've sort of looked at the numbers. I've done the calculus, and to me it seems like, here, I'll put the math here. I've done the math. 50% of marriages end in divorce, and the stats I've seen, 80% of divorces are initiated by women. And so when I say it's bad for the man.
Shout out Ronald Reagan and no-fault divorce. Yes.
The negative consequences of divorce typically tend to disproportionately impact men. They can impact women, but I think 97% of alimony payments go from men to women. So there are some concerns there financially, and then just you have the government involved, and then it can be quite contentious. And then not only is there the consideration in terms of splitting your assets, but then you have lawyers involved. And I don't have anything necessarily wrong, perhaps from a religious perspective, with marriage, but when the state's involved, and I think we ought to perhaps rewrite marriage laws to perhaps incentivize men to get married again, because you have no fault divorce.
Yeah.
And what's the other thing? And then your wife could cheat on you and then take half your shit. I think under certain.
I mentioned him earlier, but John, Modern Life Dating, mentioned that in Japan, if you catch your spouse, man or woman, okay, if you catch them cheating, the offending person in the marriage owes the other $10,000, and the person they were cheating with as well. Like, that's one way to do it. I'm just saying.
Circumstances, if you can prove it in a courtroom that perhaps you shouldn't be on the hook for alimony if there's been some infidelity, for example.
You're saying so that you could dump your wife if she cheats on you?
Yeah.
Yes, without any
Brian,
financial.
who hurt you?
Shit is over if that happens. Like, women can't fuck another guy that they don't respect. The moment that she cheats, the moment that she entertains another suitor, it's fucking over, bro. Like, maybe these chicks have just seen more dick than the Tonight Show. But, yo, man, if they're thinking about it, it's like, oh, it's just tit for tat. What you're saying is that a man can cheat and a woman can't cheat? No, it's fucking different.
It's prenups and
Yeah.
like,
Let me ask
Like,
you a
I feel
question.
like you're
though,
always
yeah.
worried about like something gonna happen bad. Like when
Yeah, it's called preparing for the worst. Hoping for the best, preparing for the worst.
just like you have no trust and faith in
But
these
I think
women.
it's the society we live in now.
Well,
'cause
let
there's
me ask
so
you a
much
question.
bad
Also, like,
things.
Let me ask you a question. So how many people get married and they think, hey, this is the person I love, we're going to be together forever, and then
Just a poll for the chats. How many people, I don't need to get too terribly specific about individual people, but growing up, did you have more friends? Did you have more friends that came from successful two-parent households or from broken households? I'd like to know. One, if you had more friends that were that came from traditional households, or two, if they came from a more modernized single mother, your father ain't shit households.
and you hear that divorce rate. It's like 50% of marriages end in divorce.
I think when people get married very young, right?
But isn't that the best time to get married?
Not
Well, Michael, your
necessarily.
thoughts on that?
No, after you get ton of dick, but it's funny because we're gonna see that towards the end of the stream after we get through the old beardy boy here in a second. But yes, spoiler, getting married young. If you could find, which guess what? Spoilers not happening at this point in time. If you're a virgin and you marry the person, two virgins hook up. If two virgins go down to the church and they get married, chances that they're going to have a successful relationship, it's astronomically high. Anything for a woman over about six partners. I could actually pull up the study, but you can take my word for it, or you can research it yourself. After about 3, it starts to get a little bit shaky, but then by 6, it's like 30% of the time the marriage is going to be successful. After 5 to 10 years, they're still together. 30, it's just about a third. It's about 35%. Anywhere between 35 and 33% of the time, it's still a successful marriage after a certain amount of time. Like, it's fucking Dunsky. And those chicks right there, like, that's a slow weekend for them to only get 6 dicks. Yeah, but, oh, no, it's not good. You haven't experienced life yet. Yo, check Giselle Bundchen. She got married, right? She just threw it across the finish line. She threw her Hail Mary, and, it was successful. 27, she got the kids. Still taking a look around going, oh, well, at 40, I'm seeing the rest of my friends continue to have a whole bunch of success. Well, hey, Tom Brady, I can actually do better than you. At 42 years old, hilarious, and boy, is she regretting her decision now. Oh, well.
Some of the
You're like an exception.
I didn't get married young, though. I've only been married now about 5 years. Yeah. But I should have gotten married younger. It's one of my quasi-regrets in life.
Well, why? Like, again, that would just circle back to what's the benefit for the man? Again, he's just looking at it through the 1950s lens of, oh, she's a woman, I'm a man, and we're just going to live a successful life together, and there's nothing wrong with this at all whatsoever. Yes, I'm going to go out, and I'm going to make all the money, and you stay at home, sweetheart. Shit like that doesn't work no more, fucker.
But some of the best marriages I've ever seen were people who got married 20 years old, or 22 or 23 years old.
When did those happen, by the way? Oh, in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Every frame of reference that a tradcon has, you have to go back that far.
I just wonder, Brian, if because all the objections you're raising are completely legit.
Sure.
I just wonder if you are looking at an alternative that doesn't really exist, that's illusory. Because if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to have more freedom if I don't get married, I don't know if that's true. If you're always in one of these situations, even if you're just dating, where you think, well, where are we? Where do we stand? Is he going to leave me? Is this that?
Yeah, that's always going to happen with a woman anyways. That's called hypergamy. But tradcons are traditionally 10 years behind the curve on all this stuff. So by about 2032, they should learn about that. And it's like, hey guys, did you know that women constantly give you shit tests in order to pass? It's like such a weird concept. Great stuff.
In a marriage, in a proper marriage, all that is gone. And so you think, I had a bad day, I got in a fight with my wife, I didn't do the laundry, whatever. Doesn't matter, especially if you believe in marriage like marriage really is. You say this is an
So, if half of marriages end, 80% of those ending of marriages, and marriage in general, it's at the lowest recorded rate since the early 1800s. So, barely anybody's getting married. 50% of those marriages end up failing. Marriage as the way it is sounds like it doesn't work.
Institution defined by real things. I made a covenant before God and the political community. I signed up with the government. They're going to take my money if I break this covenant. And that actually, it seems like it puts limitations on you, but it actually gives you a ton of freedom, because you can think, oh, I'm here. We're in this. There's no getting out. There's no way out but through, and so we're just going to make this thing work. I find it's a very freeing experience.
Yeah, what if you also meet someone and she's like, I want to get
remarry.
married, and you're in love with this girl? Is it a deal breaker for you?
I have not crossed that.
He hasn't found that girl yet.
road yet, yeah. But I don't know. I mean, my thinking on this is just you should never sign a contract with someone who's rewarded for breaking it. And in today's day and age, oftentimes if you break the marriage contract, there are certain financial benefits that you can reap.
But you can go get married in another country, and then you don't have to.
Passport bros, we up. I think Japan.
They have no idea what that means anyways, but they just kind of sound like they're talking in circle. I don't think we're going to be getting anything different on this one, but I got a bonus video if you guys want to watch this one. I'll take your guys' opinion on it. It has more to do with Michael Knowles, but it's also a Brett Cooper video, and it's interesting. It's interesting because I also find another through line when it comes to these old school, well, I guess, digital right-wing media conglomerates. They always pick a slightly attractive girl. Like PragerU has the, I forget her name, Ebola or something like that. Like they got that one over there. And then over at the Blaze, they got the older Latino, Sarah Gonzalez, whatever one, I'd have to ask Elijah Schaefer, so whoever's tits you grabbed. They got that one over there. They used to have Sydney Watson, but we know how well that worked out. But Daily Wire, did they start the trend with this one by hiring Brett Cooper? If you compare them all together, she's all right. It's like she's at least more in touch with reality and doesn't constantly go, you know what the solution to this math equation is? Jesus. She's at least multi-dimensional in her thinking. So if you guys want to take a look at this one, otherwise we can go on to the Matt Walsh stuff. Either we got Brett or we got Matt. Okay, so a B or an M. How appropriate when we're covering Daily Wire. We got bowel movements. So I'll just troll the different chats here for a quick second. So yeah, most of them were, female Ben Shapiro apparently is pretty hot. If I'm too objectively, that's a terrible pause screen that we have right there. I'm just going to go ahead and, that's even worse. But, what'd that mouth do? Okay. Trying to move it ahead a little bit. Like, she's cute. She's definitely cute, and she was an athlete or something like that. And it's like, well, now she's a professional chair sitter and microphone talker. But I'd say 6. Definitely 6. She's in shape. She's definitely cute. She's not hot or beautiful or anything. Solid 6, 1000%, yeah. But yeah, and a special shout out to George. You know what you did, okay? You fucking crazy bastard. I really appreciate that, by the way. Got the email last night and I was like, the fuck? Mental patient. I appreciate you though. See what we got over there. Yeah, 1 and B. Okay, so we got Brett. We got my buddy Bree over here on Rumble. Shout out to you, my friend. But yeah, you guys, seems like. Yeah, I think we'll go with Brett. Yeah, 6. You know what? Fair enough. We're just gonna go with that one. So we'll listen to a little bit of this. This guy's, because this one is, Michael Knowles challenging feminists. So these are just clips in general of Knowles on whatever podcast, okay? And if there's any repeat when it comes to the stupid marriage, it's like, no, Brian, you should do it because my Jesus. And it's like, oh, just shut up.
Notification bell so that you never miss a comment section or off the clock episode. Alrighty, here we go, Michael.
The only parasites I have seen are the vacuous, peculent, materialistic, all gaping maw that is the modern woman, just like this panel. Gents, focus on yourselves.
Oh my god.
It's like, do they just open up like a thesaurus or like something and just like type in like one word, like anti-woman word, and then just keep like listing them?
No, some people actually have a grasp on the English language, or that also, shout out to Myron for this one, but only women have the privilege of being stupid. Like, she's reasonably attractive, and of course she's going to get hit on by, well, just about any guy that's going to walk across the street. So yeah, she doesn't have to understand that, you know, having a developed vocabulary is part and parcel of being an attractive man. She just only sees attractive men, and then realizes that, oh yeah, they all just are just kind of like that. So it's just anything that's misogynistic, that's the way that they just send in all their money. And that was like a $200 super chat or some shit like that. Like, that's big money that's out there. Just to tell bitches that you're never going to meet that they're stupid. It's like, I could think of a bajillion different ways to better spend my cash, but if it triggers them and you get good entertainment value out of it, it's whatever, right?
That was poetic. I think I've been very pro women this whole time. I've said it's Michael and the girls against Brian here on marriage and all the rest. But you don't want to just like simp and be like, oh, girls, whatever you're doing is great. Like, no, it's gross. It's so gross. Just don't do that.
Maybe there's like a certain extent where it's gross, but like she said, it's not black and white. There's like
it is black and white. Most things are fairly black and white.
Yo, that's the one good point that he's actually brought up, and I've made mention of that a bunch of different times. Generally speaking, you're faced with a binary decision on most things. You can rationalize in between, oh, it's kind of tough on this side, but then but generally speaking, it's yes or no. It's an affirmative, it's a negative. It's very simple to go, like I say, okay, follow your gut and get after it, okay, whatever hack shit at the end of it. I know, come on, whatever, just roll with it for a second. But yeah, you have an opinion, you have a feeling on something, and then you can just run it back with rationality and go, yeah, I'm good with that decision. It's not just, oh, it's all shades of gray, because that's what every woman on that panel right there, every woman that you see on Fresh and Fit, whenever they're asked just a regular question, okay, who has to bring more to a relationship? Who has to love more, okay, the man or the woman? Well, it depends. I would say both. It's like, you're not enlightened. You're just too stupid to back up whatever you actually want to say.
No, most things are not fairly black and white. Most things are on a spectrum of things. Most things.
Well, you're on a spectrum.
But if it's a spectrum, then the spectrum presumably would go from one extreme to the other. And if we're talking about like right and wrong and like beautiful and ugly and like good and bad, then the clear answers are on the extremes.
No. You think the extreme is the way to go for each thing?
Extremes often bring clarity. Obviously, there are a lot of subjects that deserve nuance, but that doesn't mean that you need to be squishy, as Michael would say, and just find middle ground. I do believe that a lot of issues are black and white, right and wrong when it comes to morality. Those specific subjects might beg nuance, might beg additional empathy, especially if somebody has a different experience, but till you can determine very clearly what is right or wrong.
Yo, did she just hear me in the past or some shit like that? What the fuck?
What is, factually correct.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
It's not that difficult. Nuance does not determine whether something is right or wrong. It just, I think, maybe adds more complexity to the discussion, I would say.
Yeah, that's
There's
nice.
so many different people and like backgrounds and parenting. Like that goes into all that. There can't just be a right and wrong for
She's definitely the ugliest one at the table.
everything, a black and white for everything.
There is, though. There is.
Well,
I don't know why. I don't know why there
disagree.
can't be.
I mean, it's just the same thing with there should be a separation between church
wanna-
and state.
But that, there shouldn't be. I mean,
Yo, wait, what? Where did that one come from?
And
there
I
isn't
don't
any.
agree with that.
Do you live strictly by Catholic law?
Yeah.
So do
I
you-
try to. I mean, I probably fail all the time.
So you
Speaking
don't-
of Latin, Deus Vult?
Deus Vult.
Deus-
Don't pronounce all the moderns want to do it the German way, but you got to do it like a good Italian.
How do you?
Deus Vult.
It's with a V because I've heard it's pronounced with it's like a W.
Yeah, that's what all the like
Is that
modern
wrong?
weirdos say. Yeah, because if that's true, then Julius Caesar said "Weni, weedy, week."
Sorry, I don't speak Italian.
I appreciate these girls being like, I don't care about Latin. Look at their faces. Like, what are these dudes talking about? All they
Yeah, I got a dick, and I don't even care about that.
need to do, in addition to talking about Latin and pronunciation, is to start talking about war and swords. And I think all of these girls would get up and leave.
You were all describing all these weird.
Okay, that
sexual
would be
behaviors,
cool,
right?
though.
And you're saying,
Little thing that's as old as we've been here. You can understand so much about relationships, even modern relationships, and the differences between men and women and how we interact and operate by looking at biology and how we are designed. And in that sense, there is a black and white because it's science.
Yes, science!
You can do whatever you want. Will it be healthy for you? Probably not. What Michael is saying, he obviously has a religious bias to that because he is Catholic and he is, very, very serious in his faith. He's also talking about history, which is very true, but he's also talking about history. We can also bring science into this where we know factually that it has been studied that women especially, but for both men and women, we do not do well in hookup culture. It's not good for you physically, just like watching porn constantly and giving into all of that is not good for you. Your hormones, your body takes a hit with that. Like, that seems pretty black and white to me. Obviously, you can do whatever you want. I think that's the point that they're missing. You can still do whatever you want, but it is not going to be objectively good for you.
also philosophy.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack from that, okay? At the bottom of that, it was like, hookup culture's not good for girls, and porn's not good for guys. It's like, yeah, hookup culture only exists for women because they are the arbiters of sex, men are the arbiters of relationship, and to add the little caveat on top of that, women are also in control of how long those relationships last for because, well, in the previous video we talked a lot about divorce, or I guess they did, and we just opined on it a little bit over the top. But there's a hookup culture for a very, very small subsect of men, and every woman, legitimately, the amount of DMs that you get compared to just the average woman, I'm talking right here. The average woman gets as many DMs, and there's also been studies on this as well. I think directly, it's either Tinder or OkCupid. It's like one of those, one of the older hookup apps. Okay, so the amount of attention that, yes, a moderate woman is commensurate to that of a top tier, in the looks department, a top tier man. So there is no hookup culture except for the top tier of men and every woman that's out there. And then when it comes to porn, it's like, yeah, just it has its time and place, okay? Like, I understand, in general, I'm just totally against it, but, there I am being the non-denominational, I don't know, Abrahamic religion appreciator. There we go, I don't ascribe to any specific sect, of course, but, yeah, no, it's a certain biological need that a man has, and if you just need to drop a nut, and it's like you just need some funny pictures to take a look at, and you just go and do you. That's totally you. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do, and I'm not going to tell you you're going to get hairy palms, or your great-grandparents are looking down at you and, you're just wagging their finger while you're wagging something else, but that's enough. That's enough on that.
Yeah, looking at also
I feel like there's been a lot of terrible things that have happened in history. So why are you looking back at history? I mean, for a long time, that's always been good. But now we have a different look on love. Personally, I don't think hookup culture is great. Obviously. But a lot of guys will not commit. So
that's somebody who's been pumped and dumped.
Oh,
yeah,
right. You don't want
but
them.
Can't you make them? Like, not to be
no, because then you come off as
why
crazy,
would they buy the
or you come off as clingy. Or
Who cares if you come off as crazy or clingy? Just move on. Then don't put your energy into those guys. I think they've talked about it before on whatever, and Michael and I actually talked about it yesterday in a video we did. But women are the gateway to sex. I mean, literally. But like women.
Shout out Rollo Tomasi, but she'd never actually bring him up. And to be fair, she doesn't know. She just would have heard this anyway. So.
Women control sexual interactions. You can say, no, I don't want to hook up. I'm moving on.
Yeah, but then Michael Knowles, the old extremist selector, oh, but what happens if something happens against her? It's like, yes, we get it. Horrific things happen. But there's if I was in control of law enforcement, then there'd be more appropriate methods to take care of that. But as it stands right now, there's little cages and that there's little places where you can put those terrible human beings. I'm trying to be as nice as possible.
If a guy doesn't want to commit, why are you wasting your energy trying and trying and trying? Like, obviously you can say, no, we're not going to have sex. No, I actually want to pursue a relationship. You try. If they say no, then screw it, move on. If your reason for leaning into hookup culture is because you don't want to come off as crazy or clingy, you're setting yourself up for failure, literally. You're setting yourself up for unhappiness because you obviously don't like something. You just said that you do not like hookup culture, but you are so worried about how men perceive you. Your value and the way that you see yourself is so bottled into, you know, a man's affirmation and this kind of physical lust that you don't have the self-respect to say, I'm going to move on. I'm going to, you know, save my energy and put it in somebody who actually wants to commit.
Women.
So many different things we could talk about with this.
Modern women hate accountability, especially when it comes to having consistent morals and ethics. Things are
They're
black
so
and
uncomfortable.
white. It's whether you decide to see it or not.
Men are leaving their kids,
That's
and
true.
that is the main problem with
Wrong.
the world today.
I mean,
how many divorces? Well, okay. Again, okay, so women are in control of sex, but there's how many different types of birth control for women as opposed to the 2 for men? Or, you know, okay, if you want to take it to a higher level than that, how many women are incentivized by the government in order to be on Section 8 housing, to get EBT, to get the food stamps and all that stuff? And that's only possible if there isn't a male in the house. Aha, it's almost like we're getting to the bottom of something. But then you take a look at marriage on top of that, and women wielding the children as a weapon in order to get additional cash and prizes over top of that. But no. It's men not taking responsibility and they're leaving their kids. Are they leaving their kids, or are their kids being taken from them?
I mean, I do think that society as a whole struggles with accountability. I do think that gives people, you know, the benefit of the doubt, maybe a little too much credit, but there is a lack of personal responsibility in this society. But in the context of just speaking about women, yes, women also are struggling with accountability. So yes, that's true, but men as well. The girl made a good point.
We're talking about the change that happened.
She made a terrible point. The fuck are you talking about?
With women's lib, right? Basically, the modern feminist stuff, which says we're going to break up the family, we're going to easier divorce, women can go hook up, do whatever you want. Since that all went into effect, the hookup culture and abortion and feminism and all the rest, women have become less happy. Everybody's become less happy.
Okay, also, adding in, again, I keep bringing the science into it because a lot of people do not want to talk about any of this, but I do think it's great because he's talking about...
So again, all of that phrasing, like, I'd love to know what the TradCon definition of hookup culture is. Okay, would it get as detailed as actually it's just the women selecting, you know, the prime top tier men? Because again, all of those bras that would be on the panel would just be talking about, oh yeah, no, it's just the hookup culture is so bad, but they all just pick the exact same archetype of guy, and it's just, you know, the Chads, the Tyrones, the Pedros, there's no Asian equivalent, but you know, the top tier athletes and actors and celebrities, okay? Because the moment a blue check mark prior to them being purchasable slides into a girl's DM and offers to flew them out, they were gone like that. But where the fuck was I going with that one? Okay, hookup culture. Yeah, but the TradCon definition of hookup culture, do you understand that, or do you think that given the fact that what guys 18 through 30, I think it's what 18 to 30, only 30% of them haven't had sex in a year or are virgins. Like, guys aren't fucking like that. It's, you don't want to address that either, but no, you just need to go to church and pray for a good woman. All of those good women that are out there are a part of that average class of girl that is out there just running through that small top tier percentage of guys. So instead of telling guys, okay, you got to adapt to your surroundings, if you want to get the bitches, you got to become that top percentage guy. You can't just go to church. You can't just find a good girl at a grocery store. You can find them there, but you have to vet them appropriately. But you don't want to step over your... I'd imagine you take a look at some of their analytics as well. Like my female audience, make it about me for a second. I've got a 20% female audience, which is fucking wild to begin with. Like, okay, most of the people in the commentariat space, like, they just crest. They get right up to about double digits, but here I am beating the brakes off of them. Again, like, I know, shout out to you guys. You're the ones that make this possible, but they don't want to step on those toes because they got sponsors. And if you just enrage the female base that's out there and you tell them that, well, actually, you guys are kind of in control and a big problem and a big reason why this shit's so fucked up, and then they'd start to get a little bit rowdy. But hey, we'll see if Brett wants to weigh in on this.
Sociology is talking about studies that is, more their language with the, women's liberation with the new modern feminist movement. That's what, he defined it as, where hookup culture became more prevalent. That also increased the need and the desire for chemical birth control. Because not only did their mental health and their happiness apparently, end up in the gutter, but they also began, chemically and artificially altering their hormones,
K-pop.
which we now know has not been good for women. No matter.
Yeah, birth control tricks your brain into thinking that you're pregnant so that you're looking for... this is a very, very brute interpretation of this study, but finds out that normally during the, the luteal phase of the... reproductive cycle for the women, they're looking for more of the providers, the beta buck side of that stuff. Okay, so the guy with the soft features, the guy who's going to look after you, they're always looking for that guy. But then when they get off the pill, they realize that, oh shit, I married a bum, or oh fuck, that guy I want that guy to knock me up. Yeah, I don't fucking think so. And then that situation is just a big shock to the system, and then relationships fucking dissolve because of that. And shout out to, while I'm here, shout out to my Mimic Militia for clarifying that. 17 to 29. That's what it is. Okay, yeah. 18-year-olds. That's what it was. Steve Austin. Used to be Budweiser, I think, George. So, yeah. And K-pop. Yeah, they're definitely getting a foothold when it comes to that stuff. Sorry, trying to keep up with all the chats and stuff. You guys are great. Shout out to you guys.
No matter how you crack it, birth control is artificial. It is not natural. And women have been putting it in their bodies for years and years and years and years. Women who have been on birth control for, 20, 30 years, they are suffering the consequences because doctors didn't know it was experimental at a time. It still kind of is. They're still doing studies on, how does this affect pheromones? How does that, affect who you're attracted to? How does this affect your fertility? Like, it took a physical impact as well. And you're still not willing to say that something is objectively worse?
Women have become...
Yeah, but you know what's better? Putting cross-sex hormones in your body. I hear that has absolutely no deleterious effect.
Especially less happy, even relative to men. So wouldn't you have to look at that, at the last 70 years of feminism, and say,
how would you know women are becoming less happy? Aren't men...
Their studies. Yeah, they don't get it, though. I'm sure she's probably doing really well in her feminine studies course at UC Berkeley.
More likely to do suicide now than women? Like, aren't men...
Women attempt more, men are more successful. Shout out to men.
Mental health is more higher in men, so how are women becoming less happy?
I mean, we have been talking about the men's mental health crisis for a while. With older men, the suicide rates are really high. But the news...
Yeah, those are... gray divorces. Again, it's kind of an extrapolated version of what happened with Gisele Bündchen and Tom Brady. Guys who get zeroed out later in life once they realize that, you know what? Hey, I was only here to provide a kid for this lady, and now she's getting all the fun and prizes that comes with Social Security, okay, and doesn't really need the guy anymore. I don't know, that's another brute interpretation of this, but those guys are no longer needed because the women are looking after the grandkids. They're looking after their kids as well. They're more involved in other activities, and because their sex drive drops off a cliff like that post-menopause, the guy becomes even more superfluous, begging the question to begin with, do most women even like most men? And we're finding this out, and especially, with all the gray divorces and guys, males prime suicide demographic is, I'd have to pull this up to be specific, but I think it's 50 to 65. Once they start to get to that retirement age, start to lose any sort of real purpose in their life, well, when guys don't have anything to work towards, when they don't have a goal to achieve, when they don't have another boundary to push, they're left to their own devices. And if they can't function in the way that they did when they were on the come up like that, well, they only see one solution. And guys, we're deductive problem solvers, and they see rope and they also see a way out. And women, well, they just think that they can decorate the house with it. So that's a sad reality. Hopefully we can change the topic a bit.
Studies have come out about young women. Literally 2 weeks ago, all of these stats came out about young women. Women that are, our age, me and the girls on these panels, and even younger than us. Female mental health is now worse than men's mental health. Like, we are now going down the drain again. There's a reason why there are more young women transitioning and turning into boys than there are men turning into females, especially at a very, very young age. The way that we are raising girls these days is not healthy. It's not productive. It obviously is not working if the mental health crisis is now switched from being a boy crisis to being a girl crisis. But yes, with adult men, they are...
I don't know where you're getting those stats from anyways, but yeah, no, again, it just harkens back. Women attempt self-oof more. Men more successful, even at younger ages as well, but I don't need to get specific or anything like that, okay, but I can actually say this part, okay, I've known more females attempt self-oof as opposed to dudes. Yeah, because I can back that up on the other side with the guys as well, but yeah, we don't need to get into specifics. What the fuck? This isn't about me.
Still at a higher risk of suicide. I think it's over the age of 40 or 50, and they're still, the largest part of the homeless population. So that is true.
Both men and women have declined, but women have declined
Since
at
when?
a faster rate since the 70s.
Because we live on
Since
the internet,
feminism.
probably. Everything is still on the internet. I mean,
This is even
you
before
watch
the internet, though.
TV, you think you're gonna die.
I don't think it's like. Do we know it's directly caused because of feminism?
I mean, I think.
What else happened in the 70s? Drugs, but everybody seemed to love that at the time. But that was the beginning of women's lib, of free love. Everybody, woo, it's gonna be great. That's when we saw like that traditional, nuclear family start to change. I mean, guys, everybody was wearing bell bottoms. Everything goes downhill when you start wearing bell bottoms.
Studies are all fake anyway, but
Causation.
if you look at all of these happiness surveys, such as they are, the big change that happened in the relations between men and women is the advent of feminism, and it made women completely miserable.
Probably because they became more eye-opened and realized, whoa, my life is shit when you do something
That's
about
exactly
it.
what happened.
Yo, that shit's so fucking stupid. Okay. Oh yeah, women are becoming more miserable. Yeah, their eyes are opened. Okay, and then you see everything that's going poorly and you decide to steer even harder into those. Yeah, okay. And there's one of our future thought leaders, ladies and gentlemen. Future Vice President of the United States. Bitch number 3 on the whatever podcast.
What they would do...
It's turning them into victims. She actually is right. She's trying to say Michael's wrong, but she is right. The point that I think she's trying to make is that women in the 70s maybe saw how awful their trad, nuclear family lives were. Pre-feminism, they saw feminism like the light. It was like, oh, this is so amazing. I must, go towards it. Our life will be so much better, but I'm still so miserable from, what it was. But actually, she just confirmed Michael because women were taught to be angry. They were taught to think that the world around them was out to get them, that their husbands were oppressive, their children were holding them back. They became bitter. You're feeding them victimization rather than empowerment. Rather than saying, no, you are, you can be fulfilled in this life. You have been happy. It was feeding them lies.
In the New York radical women's groups, these happy women who had good husbands and families would show up happy. I'm not even joking. And they would go through these struggle sessions and they would raise their consciousness and they would leave miserable. And this happened again and again at these meetings. And that's what happened to the whole society.
I feel like they were ignorant before. They opened their eyes from the Matrix or whatever the pill.
That's what the feminists say. But no, I think they actually were much better adjusted to reality before. And then they were told a bunch of lies by the feminists about their nature.
When they weren't controlling their own lives and everything was dictated on their husband.
Before when they believed that men and women are complementary and actually made for one another, after they went to the struggle sessions with all the feminists, they were told a lie, which is that men and women are not complementary, but they're indiscernible, basically identical. Woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle.
Also, if these girls' points were true, that their eyes were opened, that, they understand how awful the world was, if that was in the 70s, why aren't they happier now?
Nothing on the outside, nothing on the inside.
You've had years, decades to figure it out. And you have made progress. Now, I don't really think that progress was necessary. I think that there's been a huge overcorrection, in society right now. If we're looking at it as a hierarchy, women do hold more power. I don't think that...
And more of the debt, more of the spending. But, okay, yeah, eyes have been opened and all that stuff. And again, you don't want to go down the path of just saying, you're wrong. You keep continuing to choose the easy path forward, okay? Because, what's there to pop off around the exact same time, okay? The women started to get liberated. What were they liberated to do? sell their bodies. You had Playboy, you had Hustler, you had all of that stuff all the way through the 90s. Then you start to have all of those Skinamax shows as well. And where have we landed? Well, you know it as well as I do. OnlyFans. Every single girl can sell pictures of their butthole or their feet, whatever the hell you want to start with. But eventually the slippery slope always ends at the slippery slope for what, $5.99 a month? But we're more liberated than ever. We can buy all the box wine we want. It's fucking stupid.
That's necessarily a good thing. I think feminism was created to, make us equals, which we have achieved. And now women hold more power, but it's nothing that's authentic or genuine. It's power that's held via fear. Because men are terrified of what a woman would say or do because she'll rally all of her crazy feminists to go after him and cancel culture and all of that stuff. But the main point here is, if this was all happening in the 70s, why hasn't it actually gotten better when we have made so much progress? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up.
And they were told.
Yeah, I think that's about all the video of this one we're going to be watching, because I'm just kind of agreeing with Brett, and she's making some good points. Doesn't want to push the envelope far enough, but I think we've had enough feel-good stuff. Now I just want to get to the enraging stuff, because we got Matt Walsh over here, because oh boy, this one's going to be fun. So he's also reacting to whatever podcast clips, because Daily Wire just wants to do this, or they just want to continue to do spots over there, get enough people, because again, all of the guys that are watching those types of podcasts, they just intrinsically, they want a solution, and they think that, oh man, those guys are over there and they're having base takes on this stuff, but they're not being provided the full context of the story, so that they'll just go back down. They'll follow that same roller coaster of emotions that keeps people in the chats of Hassan Abi never providing any sort of substance. Ethan Decline, XQC, all of those. But a side note for that for a second, XQC put out a tweet. I know this is gonna sound really, really gay and pedantic, but trust me, there's a good payoff to this story. XQC sends out a tweet a couple of days ago that says, "Oh, I've been feeling sad lately," or whatever. But then somebody who replied to it that said, "I can fix you," was Andrew Tate. And that could be quite the fucking redemption story. Very interesting development that's over there. But no, Daily Wire, in between their different little ad reads, they don't provide a whole hell of a lot of substance. It's just these emotional roller coasters. It's either the God pill, it's traditional values, or it's just, oh man, it's those dastardly toxic masculine guys that just continue to fill the minds of individuals and never define their terms. They'll just take you on that roller coaster and they'll never take you off of it, because the longer that you're on there, the more likely you are to buy a subscription to Daily Wire Plus, which I would rather set my money on fire.
Aware of a live stream dating podcast on the whatever YouTube channel, whatever is the name of the channel. And this
we like 'em all.
appeared on my radar thanks to a truly delightful clip where a young lady becomes enraged.
Shut up, I don't care.
Chase, would you rather smash the hottest trans woman in the world or the oldest woman in the world?
This is, oh my god. Okay, speaking of Twitter real quick, this was a clip that went around everybody's feed, okay? I know I've seen some, I've noticed a couple of profile pictures that are very familiar over on Twitter as well as on YouTube right here. So shout out to you guys. Okay. So you probably seen this clip go around a bunch of different times. Okay. So Chase. So Chase is the guy in the gray shirt and the button down. Okay. Would you rather smash the hottest trans woman in the world or the oldest woman in the world? OBS over top of that is, blocking everything out so I can't see it. So again, like there's one correct answer when it comes to this. Okay. Like, yeah, it's an old woman, otherwise you'd be gay, and that's what brother's going to be saying here. And then it just absolutely spurgs out from here. But I seen this clip in various forms, mostly just muted because I couldn't be bothered to watch. This is the most I've ever watched of whatever podcast, just in reacting to this stuff. So we'll let him take it away, and just a blast from a couple weeks ago past.
Honestly, bro, the oldest woman in the world, because then I wouldn't be gay.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
You really just want me to just rip you a new one. I swear to God.
Oh, that's that insufferable bitch from the past ones that we've been looking at as well. Yo, shout out to her.
Are you like, Chase,
No.
how dare you be transphobic?
Yes, actually, what the do you mean? Yes, that was
Because
so
if I had
unnecessary.
sex with a trans woman, I'd be having sex with a biological man, and I don't want to do that.
The question is,
That's not what you said, though. That's fine. If that's
Because
what you
I'd
want
be
to say.
gay if I had sex
That's
with a
not
biological
gay.
man.
That's not gay.
That's
And I don't
gay.
even care if you're doing this for like whatever, but like shut the fuck up. Actually,
I'm doing
You
it
look
for
like you have a
what-
lead
Hey,
to
why
respect
don't-
his
why don't-
street
That's too far.
identity.
That's
Why
too
don't
far.
Why don't you make me
That's
shut
too
the
far.
up? Because I have an opinion that differs from yours.
Again, men's preferences to not fuck a guy are not accepted by women, but I'm sure earlier in the podcast they were also saying, I don't date guys under a certain height, and I don't date guys that don't make a certain amount of money.
When's that gonna be a part of something that's starting to say like that?
She's right. I mean, that's really
But
hateful,
she's
bro.
not. She's not. It would technically be homosexual. A trans woman is a biological man. Sue me. It's
Dude, that's mean. I also gotta go.
it's
I
not
gotta,
up. It's real.
That's
it's
his-
true.
Okay, if you
That's
guys want to
mean.
respect
It's
gender
factual.
identities, that's his though. That's his sexuality.
Any opinions you want, but
I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to say that.
Yes, from a biological woman who doesn't even have any trans friends, that was too far.
What?
I hope that you get all of those brownie points. Fantastic.
A man of God who doesn't judge a Christian.
A man of God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what God said? It said the man. He made the man and woman. I just told you I'm not gay. I'll pass on that. Thanks though.
That's too far, she says. Not wanting to have sexual relations with a man is too far. His heterosexuality is simply a bridge too far for this young lady, who, along with her friend, has no choice but to flee the room in disgust. We must admit, though, that she made a compelling argument. To quote her, she says, I don't even care if you're doing this for, like, whatever, but, like, shut the F up, actually. Yeah.
No, she said fuck, but that's all right.
That's the kind of quote that would make Mark Twain proud. Such incredible wit and insight and all of it communicated with such efficiency.
This shit is edited by I'm doing this live, but his is edited, and that's the best he can come up with. Sucks to suck, I guess. Well, what is a woman? Somebody that can articulate a better burn than that? Okay.
Now, we can't blame her, really, for not being able to intelligently articulate her objection to this man's point of
I will, bitch is stupid.
view on the subject. It is an unintelligible objection rooted in her unthinking allegiance to gender ideology, which is also unintelligible. But the problem is that every clip that circulates from this show, which seems to feature a different group of young women and sometimes young men each episode talking about their experiences in the dating world, every clip is
What a novel idea, because heaven forbid we ever poke the bear of fresh and fit, and we might actually get some pushback.
is just as mind-numbing and displays an equally tenuous grasp on the English language. So here's one that attracted widespread attention yesterday. Watch.
I think like the biggest thing that like annoys me in like the whole dating world
Yo, shut up, W tits.
is like talking stages. Like that's so annoying. Like the whole like, and just like the inconsistency in them. Like I literally like hate that like so much. But
I could fix her.
I think that's like my biggest thing. It's just like
What specifically?
just like the fact of just like you like I don't know how to word this. Like
Start with like. Oh, there's speak of the devil.
in like talking stages, and it's just like you're like labeled that, and it's like people like are considered like you can't like you're just like confused, and like most of the time like
I know the feeling.
the girl gets like attached or something, and they like see it like it's gonna lead to a relationship, and it's always not, and it's just like that's like my biggest thing is like I just hate the whole like how like talking stages are so like normalized. Like traditional dating does not exist in this generation.
Now, I'm informed by others who have endured the clip and who had more time on their hands that she used the word like 27 times in the span of about 48 seconds. I haven't checked their math, but it sounds right.
Okay, once again, it just shows how out of touch Matt Walsh is. If you've had a conversation with a modern woman in the past 10 years, that might be the most extreme example, but as somebody who has worked alongside, worked with, worked over, worked under, regrettably, for a couple of different times, that's mostly the vernacular. Give or take a few dozen likes. Like, I mean, come on, bro. They're so removed from reality. That's what I'm finding out. What's the substance of her argument? I understand that you get thrown off. She says like a lot. Okay, but you run the exact same shtick over and over again. What's the difference? What's the difference?
I suppose it's no wonder that the girl doesn't like the talking stage, given that she seems to have so much trouble.
Now, she loves the talking stage. Like is just a way for her to bridge to another word that gives her more airtime.
Talking. The unfortunate thing is that what she's trying to express is actually important. It's an important insight that she is trying to get across. It's just that it gets crushed under the weight of a million likes. She's making the point, or sort of verbally.
You know how you fix that situation? You just joke about it. You neg her on it, and eventually neg, N-E-G. You neg her on the situation, and you eventually make a joke out of it, and then she'll start to work on it if she actually cares about you. Or if you kind of look like the father of a school shooter, she's just going to turn and walk the other way.
Gesturing towards the point that the total banishment of labels and traditions and concepts like chivalry from the dating scene has left everyone feeling paralyzed and confused. It means that most single people end up in a kind of stasis, a limbo, not knowing whether they're in a relationship or what to do if they are in one or what to call it. And nobody knows what to call anything. The fear of commitment that permeates our culture, the aggressive sort of casualness of everything, the insistence on approaching all matters, especially matters relating to love and relationships, in a way that diametrically opposes how our grandparents approached it. All of these factors have made the dating scene not simply difficult, but effectively non-existent. People don't date. They just sort of float along on the cultural current, hoping that they bump into another piece of debris before moving on to the next. There's no sense of purpose or meaning. Certainly there's no clear direction. I think that's what she was trying to say, but instead she said like that, like it's all like so, like, you know, like so weird, like whatever, like.
They're also all from Southern California, but at the same time, okay, so I was answering some chats and stuff on top of that. His explanation of her lack of explanation wasn't all that more coherent, so to try to sound like the adult in the room, you kind of failed with more syllables. It's like falling with style.
She doesn't fully understand her own feelings on the subject, nor does she have the ability to communicate those feelings. She knows about 10 words total and can only arrange and rearrange them until she ends up with a sequence that gets the closest to whatever half-formed thought she wants to express. Now,
I could never be that rude to a woman, but anyway, that's just me. I think I had a little bit of a revelation there in that moment. They don't understand women at all. Like, okay, I don't know the dating history of Michael Knowles, but of Shapiro and of Walsh right here, I'm pretty sure Walsh married his high school sweetheart as well. They are so removed from the dating scene, they don't understand. That's just a valley girl, bro. Like, you don't think about it too much. And again, they will develop into something a little bit more articulate once they get out of college. That's one of those things. It's not like the ideas. It's, oh, they'll eventually grow up once they get out of university. No, okay, but they will develop into more fully formed human beings once they also stop gaining attention like they would. Because yeah, what's the first thing that you see back on her little clip right there? Well, I can give you 2 answers to that. So the moment she puts those away and has to perform in a professional setting, going to have to develop a couple of different capabilities as well. So, I forget where I was going with all that stuff. And back to the beard.
It's not my intention to pick on this poor girl. She's
Bro, we're 6 minutes into this, and all you've done is made ad hominem attacks. To be fair, I'm not that much better, but I'm not purporting to be the moral arbiter of my lord.
She's not a unique or extreme case. That's exactly why it's worth talking about. She is rather a typical product of her generation.
The fuck? You were just pointing it out for saying, oh, how many times can this girl... Look at this shit that your stuff is titled. How many times can this girl say like in 1 minute? That's the reason that you pointed it out. She is the most extreme example of that. No, she's just the same. Just trying to hit that time for the algorithm. You didn't actually have anything to say to that, but I drew the short straw when it came to whatever clips at Daily Wire, so this is the one that I got to respond to.
Nearly every older person has noted Americans seem to be less articulate with each passing generation. And we're now at a point where some people in Gen Z aren't even proficient in the one and only language they know. They're not bilingual, they're not even monolingual. They are non-lingual, effectively.
This has been the same TradCon talking point. Oh, you know those people in there in their inner city with their ebonics. Fucking Christ, bro. It's eventually... language changes. This is the same thing. It's like, oh, if everybody would just show up to the white picket fence outside, and the man would come home and he'd hang his fedora on the hook at the house, and he'd be able to just lean over and kiss his best gal on the cheek, and you could sit down with a family dog and the 2.3 kids. Language evolves, language changes. We don't talk the same way that we did back in the 1700s, and we're not going to talk the way that we do right now into the 2050s. Shit is going to evolve. Vernacular of today is not going to be the same as tomorrow. But no, the TradCons don't actually want to fix the ills of the modern day. They just want a time machine. Case in point.
This is not the same as the familiar old person complaint about youth slang, right? That's not what this is. The issue is not slang. It isn't what words they've added to the English language, but rather what words they've removed from it, which is most of them. We are rapidly running out of words as several generations in a row have taken part in this
on God, no cap,
piecemeal destruction of the English language. The millennials complain about how Gen Z speaks, just as boomers did about millennials, just as their parents did about them. And all of the complaints were valid and only becoming more valid as time goes on. We are, as a culture, progressively losing the ability to express ourselves through language. And this is a rather significant problem, given that language is one of the necessary cornerstones of any functioning civilization. As I've observed in the past, if you really want to see just how much our communication skills, if not our communication technology, I mean, our technology is getting better. Our communication technology is getting better as our communication skills, are falling.
How could you let that stand in your video? Our communication, this motherfucker right here.
Falling apart. But if you really want to see how it has deteriorated, all you have to do is go to like a Civil War battlefield museum somewhere and read some of the letters that average young men, often with little to no formal education.
See, again, we just want a time machine. I think I've exhausted all I can take from the beard right here, and I think it's about time to go into the main event. Unless anybody has a specific objection to that, want some more Matt Walsh, which... we got time, okay? There's still many more Saturdays, many more Wednesdays to come, even though next week, let me just float this by everybody here, because I don't know how long the Ben stuff's going to take. It's the stuff that I've definitely researched the most, and I've definitely been more engaged with. Like, the rest of this stuff, I just pulled up some clips that I thought would be fun, and they over-delivered, realistically. Like, I knew Matt Walsh was just a one-trick pony, but I didn't actually think that he would be that vacuous in person. But, hey, shout out. Thanks for, once again, providing value, Matt. Yeah, your name's Matt, right? Yeah, see, he's just so unremarkable. I'm staring him right into the face in the screen, and I can't even remember the motherfucker's name, but that's all right. So, yeah, outside of just some very vociferous objection, we can move on to the main event of the evening. Doing the trans debate. Yeah, Matt Walsh, yeah, he crushed that bearded can exceptionally well. Like Walsh for the trans stuff, not so much for the evolutionary stuff. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Like, okay, like when we get to the Ben stuff, like, he's incredibly good at certain political issues. When it comes to the jabs and selecting certain politicians, yeah, not so much. Issue to issue, we probably agree on a hell of a lot of stuff. And it's the same conclusion that Myron from Fresh and Fit, when they did their breakdown of said clip, because it does involve Myron specifically. So yeah, they responded to it. I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, they did their breakdown on Wednesday of it. And yeah, issue to issue, Ben Shapiro... I agree with him on quite a few things, but when you start to get to the overarching issues, that's where it falls apart. Because Ben, I hate to be armchair psychologist on this, he was bullied and pushed around by guys that looked like Trump. They had that, hate for the crude crude analysis of this, but the alpha guys that were in school. That's why he has that intrinsic detestation of Trump. He's everything that was his bullies and his aggressors growing up, and he just can't bring himself to support that, even though it's kind of exactly what the culture, or what the country needs at this point. So he sees the softer, more rounded edges version in Ron Lex Charisma Santis. If you thought De Sanctimonious was bad, well, that's just off clip, okay? Nobody's gonna remember that shit, okay? You just cast it out of your memory. We can cut that out later. Okay, good. I think we got that. That's fine. But Ben, issue to issue, he's fine. Matt Walsh stomping out trash cans. Oh, trans cans. Damn it, I had that right there. Anyways, stomping out trans cans. Very, very good. Michael Knowles got a nice wardrobe. I don't know. And Brett Cooper. Yeah, she could get it. But where do we want to start on this one? Because I got three clips. I think. Yeah, because we started off when it comes to Michael Knowles, okay, what his opinions of Tate were. Now, I haven't watched this, and this came out on and around the exact... No, this was 3 months ago, so this was post-arrest. I think he'll probably elaborate more, but I got some backing up stuff here as well to just really lay out why Ben Shapiro does not understand the modern dating scene. So... I didn't see. I think Meatball Ron so bad. He's terrible. Start with the Bear Jew. Yep. Okay. Curious. I live in a smaller town outside a small medium city. I like knowing the dating scene in other areas and states. Yeah. Tell men not to speak to women who haven't been finishing school, but these days maybe. It's interesting, reading Rookie's chat right here, and you bring up an interesting point before we get into the Ben Shapiro stuff. It's very, very interesting. Yeah, used to tell men not to speak to women who haven't been finishing school. Oh, haven't been to finishing school, but these days maybe offer to pay for finishing school. That is something that used to be very popular back in the time of the TradCons, which is very interesting why they haven't brought that up. But again, it also harkens back to them not wanting to piss off their female base, which the way that the Daily Wire really took off was taking over Facebook. And if you know anything about who uses Facebook, it speaks for itself. But the idea of finishing school, ladies learning how to be ladies, you'd think that would be a niche on YouTube, but that shit doesn't exist at all whatsoever. What's out there? What's popping? What's popular? Well, outside of pussy, there's only degeneracy that's popping online. So, of course, women and men and everybody's just going to emulate what they see if they don't have independent thought, if they don't have the tools that they're ready in order to dissect the landfill of ideas that we have in today's day and age. So, when I see a guy like Andrew Tate, it's like, oh, okay, cool. I learned about him. Okay, yeah, for those guys who were here early in the stream, you guys also, my history when it comes to all of this stuff, I started listening to Red Pill content, whatever you want to call it, back in 2014 with the Patrice O'Neill, the Black Phillip show, and that's where I started to get all the gestation of those ideas, really been kicking them around. Probably listened to all, how many episodes of that? 10 or 11 episodes of that. Probably listened to those at least a half dozen times, okay, all the way through. Really thought and ruminated on those ideas, and yeah, I really started to galvanize all this stuff. And it's funny, I needed one little key in order to unlock all of the ideas and really make everything click, just connecting that final dot. I think it was Myron from Fresh and Fit who brought it up, okay? Because I always had this opinion of Fresh and Fit, kind of like most people who have never watched the show. It's like, oh, it's just that late night show where you just tosses loud, rambunctious ratchet bitches off the show. And it's like, I don't know what you can necessarily gain from that. But my 6 degrees of that ended up being, watching a Legal Mindset stream when Rollo Tomasi came on. This was after the Will Smith stuff. So listening to that and listening to that breakdown, listening to that Rollo guy, is like, wow, that guy really knows his shit. And then watching a couple of his shows, and that he'd constantly bring up Fresh and Fit, and it's like, that's that show where it's like, oh, the ratchet bra. It's like, oh, okay. But then, oh no, they're frauds and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, I'll give them a chance, and here I am a year later still singing their praises, because I think that Myron is the best at what he does on a day-to-day basis. Before they stopped doing the daily shows, there was nobody sharper. Like, he ascended to another level when it comes to really nailing down those talking points, and he's been on fire for the better part of 6 months. Like, I can't give him enough praise, because he's the best at what he does, and I think probably the best value of a stream, and my favorite show that I look forward to every week is the Fedit stream on Sunday whenever it's live. Like, those chats are hilarious, and the topics are very interesting, and like, they talk on a bunch of different topics. Long story short, okay, that one little piece of connecting information that I needed, and this is going to sound so stupid, but sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees. I know that you guys have also had similar situations, so, don't hold my feet to the fire too hard for this one, but figuring out, okay, it's like these loud, obnoxious, non-feminine women, just realizing that the women of today are basically men with tits and a vagina. Masculine women is what we're left with. And it's like, I've never heard that term before. I know it sounds so fucking stupid, right? But never heard the term masculine women. And it's like, I'm not gay. I like feminine women. Never really been around that many off-rip feminine women. And the women that were feminine that I was around, I really appreciated. Okay, this is all starting to make a lot more sense and start to get value off the top of that. And then when I see a guy like Ben Shapiro, and then also understand his marital status and the fact that he had to, I think we're going to start there with this one, because that segues in nicely, okay? Because I was listening to this podcast as well, but just to really put a pin in this, okay? To understand that Ben Shapiro was the one to beg his wife for marriage, which that's a recipe for, well, it says a lot of things. It's a recipe for disaster, but if they're both virgins, which Ben has said multiple times, and it's like, hey, that's a terrific idealistic marriage. It's one that I can't get into for very obvious reasons. Duh, okay. But then, oh, sorry. Choking on my old... Oh, geez, sorry. Yeah. Whew, that was gross. Anyways, no. Yeah, Ben and I think his wife is also a virgin, so they're both first partners. That is something that used to happen all the time back in the 50s. You'd get with your best gal, she'd only been with you, and you guys could live and have a happy 35, 40, 50 year long relationship, and it'd be wonderful and fantastic. You'd have multiple kids, and you'd go and live a fantastic life. Wonderful. But that shit doesn't happen in today's day and age. But him knocking down the door saying, well, I love you now, and we're just going to get married, and I'll let the Full Send podcast tell it, because every once in a while, it's another one of those situations, like I was saying before, with figuring out the whole idea that there's masculinized women out there, and it's like, well, I'm not gay, so I don't like that, and I like feminine women. It's always got to bring it back down a little bit. So it's a good podcast. I do like it, and I first learned about it when Tate was making the rounds and had that big podcast that was over there. But they had Ben Shapiro on recently-ish, and I was listening to it. And again, when they were talking specific political talking points, I agreed with Ben Shapiro on a hell of a lot of those topics. But then when it started to get into relationship and why he thinks that Ron DeSantis would be a better candidate, he brought up that old adage, the one that just absolutely makes me livid, that Ron is like a Trump without all of the baggage. Fucking retard. You've been around for how many election cycles? Remember when George W. Bush was just, he's just the affable, the other child of H.W. Oh, he's just great. And then all of a sudden, Bush is a Nazi. You don't think that they're not going to do that to everybody? Look at the way that they painted John McCain against Barack Obama. He was the second coming of Hitler. And then all of a sudden, when he started to take a stance against Trump, we just need to thank all of our war heroes. You're fucking dumb if you think that there's ever going to be a Republican or even a Democrat candidate that's ever going to ascend to the primary, get the nomination, and not have baggage attached to him. Bruh, you're retarded. You don't understand it, or you're just trying to push an agenda. But I don't ever want to attribute malice to anything that can be explained away with ignorance. So This is Ben Shapiro. I wanted to give it in his own words, the same way that I like to do it whenever I hear about Nikki Haley and then Ben talking about how, oh, Nikki Haley, she's my spirit animal. It's right at the beginning of the Sunday special clip, and I will run it until the end of time just to show you that this motherfucker is a neocon to his core. And something else that I say all the time, you can't trust a guy who's bad with money and bad with women, because guess what? They're going to end up snaking you for one or the other. And then when you have a guy, yes, begging his wife for a relationship, for marriage, that's a recipe for disaster and somebody that should not be giving out advice. So without further ado, and my diatribe aside, here's the point in time where I lost whatever remaining respect I had for Ben, but now we're scraping below the bottom of the barrel.
November 15th, it was the first time I said I love you to my wife.
Could you, okay, pause. Could you, I couldn't imagine, okay, I couldn't imagine. Like, I can't even remember. That would be funny, but I don't think that's appropriate for YouTube. Okay, I don't remember the first time I fornicated. There we go. I can go ahead and censor it that way. How about that? Yeah. But he remembers the exact day. November 15th was the first time that I said I love you to my wife. Ugh.
And she said thank you. And I was like, shit.
No genuine burning desire. Sucks to suck. So he's never experienced that from a woman. Yeah, and he's the one who's going to be opining about a good, healthy relationship.
Yeah. So that was, and that lasted for about a month. That was a very awkward month. It was like I'd finish every phone call, I'd be like, love you, sweetheart. Thanks. Bye. So that was real awkward. And then, but the reason she was doing that, and it made sense, is because of what happened next, right? December 15th, she says to me, I love you too. And I said, and she knew what was going to happen. She said that, and the next words out of my mouth were, okay, let's get married.
Oh my fucking God. Oh, okay. I love you. And they had only been dating for, I might have cut that part out, but it was a very, very short period of time. I think that we could run it back, or you could take my word for it, or you could watch it. Because again, I recommend this. I think their podcast, Full Send podcast, is pretty good, especially if you're not looking for deep conversations. And some of their guests are a bit flumpy, but the most recent one, actually, the sit-down conversation with Donald Trump Jr. was really good. I would highly recommend that. And I would give a tacit recommendation to this specific podcast too, because again, there's a lot of good points to take away from this one. Case in point that Ben Shapiro should not even come close to be giving any relationship advice. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have our main event of the evening. We have Ben reacts to whatever podcast. You're reacting to Fresh and Fit, but you don't want to associate Daily Wire with Fresh and Fit, now do you? Of course not, but there might actually be more to this. So
that's a bit racist.
Oh my God, no, you're one of those. How can you be racist against? And I'm also half white, so like, how can I be racist against you?
You can say, well, okay, so he has whatever podcast clips at the front, so then you can backload it with Fresh and Fit. Very interesting. Okay. But okay, we might as well just talk on this point to begin with. Okay. I don't know what Ben's going to say on that. Racism is the prejudice or hatred of a specific group. Doesn't matter whatever in a racial context, obviously, but you can do that regardless of your own identity. This is what happens with identity politics. It rots the brain, but she goes to UC Berkeley, bro.
You don't think you can be racist towards someone who's white?
No, I don't, because you've never experienced racism in history.
Again, like, she'd have a warped interpretation of racism to begin with, but it's normally just couched if we can assume some facts that are not in evidence, and I don't just take that with a bucket of salt. It's always just going to be, oh my God, black people were the only people that were literally ever sold into chattel slavery, if she even knows the term chattel. But, okay, yeah, white people have never experienced suffering. Holodomor in Ukraine, potato famine in Ireland. I know I'm just using specific examples in and of myself. If you peel back the layers far enough when it comes to Europeans hating on other Europeans, yo, that shit runs deep, and everybody's enslaved everybody else. Like, who did you think? Did you think that the Vikings went down to Africa in order to just enslave black people? Like, are you that fucking dumb? But then again, she's probably highly educated. I'm getting my bachelor's degree. Sure you are, sweetheart.
White people haven't experienced racism.
One of the experiences.
What's your definition of racism?
Oh, good.
I'd say basically like the persecution in any type of way that leads to the downfall
You're using way too many words.
of just like someone's life.
So, by the way, the answer to this, like causing someone's life to be worse because of their race, the answer to this is affirmative action, which is a zero-sum game. That is the actual answer. Or maybe equity injected into every area of the American government, a la Joe Biden. That would be an example of racism.
A la Joe Biden? Yo, I love these captions. Yo, where's the fresh and fit shit? God damn it.
I have to know, what is...
That's a bit racist.
Oh my God, no, you're one of
God,
those.
shut up. We not... Is this not the right clip? Oh my God. Well, hey, we got some additional... See, I told you I agree with Ben Shapiro on certain things. Son of a bitch.
White people haven't experienced racism.
One of the experiences.
What's your definition of racism?
I'd say basically like the persecution in any type of way that leads to the downfall of just like someone's life.
So, by the way, the answer to this, like causing someone's life to be worse because of their race, the answer to this is affirmative action, which is a zero-sum game. That is the actual answer. Or maybe equity injected into every area of the American government, a la Joe Biden. That would be an example of racism at work.
It's America.
And yes, of course, black people can be racist. Is the idea that black people cannot be racist against Asians also, or just against white people? Is that the way this works?
That's a bit racist.
Oh my God, no, you're one of those.
Oh, that was it. Okay. And again, didn't really add that much context, but I gotta find the actual fucking clip. God damn it, this is... Well, it's not embarrassing. We at least got additional context over top of that, but for fuck's sakes, man, I wanted to find the actual clip, or do I gotta go... Because he was reacting to valuetainment money. We'll just go to my beautiful face for a second while I just go ahead and find the shit in the background. How y'all doing in the chat, by the way? Thanks y'all for turning out. I think I got the best turnout tonight across both platforms. That's like fucking tremendous. I appreciate you guys for turning out on late on a Saturday. Crazy bastards. Thank you very much. Ben Shapiro. Fresh and fit. Because if I gotta go, okay, you can't be, oh no, you can't be racist towards, okay, so, yeah, that's the first thing that pops. It's like, okay, cool.
That's a bit racist.
Oh, fuck off. Nobody cares. Yeah, but, okay, cool, I can just go ahead. It's not like it really matters all that much, but that's the first result that comes up whenever I say, hey, fresh and fit, Ben Shapiro, okay, so, oh my gosh, it's just so fucking dumb. Does he talk about Ben Shapiro, blast sauce? Oh, okay. Fresh and fit Miami. Everybody just talk amongst themselves in the chat. It's on Andrew Tate. Son of a bitch. Where do I gotta get it? I can just fucking get it directly off of Fresh and Fit. How about that? How about that? I think I can just run that. Like, that'll make a lot more sense anyway. So we can just do that for a quick second and just move it right. Because, yeah, they'll just play it in full. Okay. So, yeah. Oh, it's because it's on TikTok. Okay, that totally makes sense. Anyways. All right, so now I can put the audio back on. All right. So, okay. A minute-long clip.
Getting married until you're at least 35.
That was my next question for you. As a man, what age should you consider getting married?
So I have, this is my thing that I tell guys. Yeah. I think 35 years old, had slept with at least 50 women, 100K per year, you're in shape, and you got 6 months to 1 year of savings.
So, okay, in today's modern context, what's inherently wrong with that? Because, okay, like, just run it back just a little bit, okay? So
100K per year, you're in shape. And you got
right, because you already had the stink face on that one.
This is my thing that I tell guys. Yeah. I think 35 years old, had slept with at least 50 women, 100K.
Yeah, okay. So 35 years old. Okay, so you're going to be more established. You're going to be, even if you're just doing like a workaday job, you're going to be, making partner. Okay, you're going to be ascending to a point in your chosen vocation where you're more established. And, men achieve their peak sexual market value. And that's, again, just researched and all that stuff as well. It's like, that's when men hit their stride. That's when they're still accomplished enough in their job and that they're still physically capable enough to attract the highest mates possible. Well, yeah, 35 years old. Slept with 50 women. Take your pick, okay? But again, against the modern woman that's out there in a medium to large sized city, especially if they've gone to college, that shit's lowballing some of these broads across a 4-year degree. If you think that those good girls out there, they just your little country bumpkin that rolls into the local university, you think that she ain't fucking? You think that she hasn't picked up in a semester 5 or 6 bodies? Like, you're out of your fucking gourd, okay? And also, on top of that as well, okay, the 50 women, being able to attract 50 women is totally different than just fucking 50 women. If you pay for box 50 times over, you're still a loser at the end of the day. But if you can attract, attain, and bed 50 different women, you're fairly accomplished. You know what it takes to be attractive to a woman, and then you can take that to a successful relationship. And again, the whole body count myth when it comes to men versus women, it doesn't affect men the exact same way that it does with a woman, because guys, and speaking from experience, you can fuck a girl that you don't really like, you don't think is that sharp, you don't really think is all that to begin with. But then for a woman, you have to like, admire, respect, and look up to him, and you have to be willing to do something, or, well, of course, and then there's some of those busted bitches that are out there that just want to get the bag at the end of it, but they need to respect their partner. Guys, on the other hand, respect is nice and all that stuff, but you don't need it at the same level, okay? So that's that part of that. And then the $100,000 that also comes on top of that as well. It's like, 6 months of saving makes $100,000 a year. That puts you at the top. That puts you at the highest echelon, okay? When it comes to, if you have all of that stuff in tow, well, it puts you at a certain percentage of man out there, okay? Like, it makes you a valuable prize in the relationship, meaning that you're capable to lead said relationship, which is intrinsically, even Ben would admit back in his tradcon mind, that's what women want. Surprise!
Per year, you're in shape, and you got 6 months to 1 year.
Oh yeah, and in shape, that just goes without saying.
Savings.
All right, done. I got to get married. I've done all that.
Oh yeah, and I hate Adam Sosnick. I think that he's a blue-pilled bitch, and he has no business whatsoever in running a grifting red pill podcast to begin with. But hey, man, you do you.
That's easy.
Here's the Republic right there. So that is a recipe for a terrible marriage, by the way, guys. Waiting until you're 35 and have slept with 50 women, that is a terrible recipe for marriage by
if you're a woman.
Every available data point. It turns out that you are much better in terms of getting married if you get married younger, if you do not have a wide variety of sexual partners. All the stuff about, being in shape and having money and all the rest, you should try to do that, generally speaking. But this notion that you wait until you're 35, you've already made a bevy of mistakes that have shaped your character and made you much more rigid as a person, and that you should have had a basis of comparison in terms of sex of dozens and dozens and dozens of women. No, the data do not support this, and it's stupid.
Yeah, that's just intrinsically wrong. And yeah, of course, Fresh and Fit are going to break it down. Well, actually, Myron will just break it down, and then Fresh will go, what did the chat say? And it's like, okay, yes, link for Gerf. That's fantastic. Thanks. But yeah, back to the backsplash that is Ben Shapiro at this point in time. How apropos. But yeah, no, the data doesn't back that up whatsoever. Men and women are equal. It's so funny, just the TradCon non-understanding when it comes to what female nature actually is. It's so funny. And it's actually well illustrated by the company that he keeps. Another saying that is very popular in these parts is, you are the summation of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with 5 bums, well, guess what? You're going to become the 6th. If you surround yourself with 5 winners, there you go. If you surround yourself with 5 tradcons, you get a little hat. So, they're non-understanding in the modern marketplace. Yes, Ben Shapiro cashed out. 2008 he got married. Okay, so I was 18. Depending on when he got married, I may or may not have been a legal aged individual in 2008 when he got married. The world is vastly different. What was the hot movie? The fucking Dark Knight hadn't even come out yet. Obama had just taken office. Everything's different. Like Instagram, the world's largest dating app, wasn't to market yet. The motherfuckers were still getting poked on Facebook, and everybody was finally moving over from MySpace. I was texting my boys on my fucking Motorola flip phone, for Christ's sakes. And that's his last frame of reference. Fantastic. He has a wonderful relationship. I wish him nothing but success when it comes to his very successful marriage. Apparently, like he's married to a doctor. I know, memes, right? And he's got a couple of kids. He's apparently got another one on the way. Congratulations. Repopulate the earth with Zionists. Fantastic. Jokes. Don't cancel. Shut it down. But on top of all of that, it's... if he can keep his children cloistered in an environment that he can curate, and as a father, totally up to him. And if he can do that for his family, fantastic. They're going to live a tremendous life. It's just, that's not reality for everybody that I know. Everybody that's in the chat, like, we live a very different existence. Now, can you go ahead and you can revert and try to live that life going forward? Yeah, of course. It's just you're going to have all of that baggage, all of that experience as well. And then certain girls who, if you're going to church tomorrow morning, you're going to see there as well. They're just trying to pray away the dicks. Need to phrase that correctly. The ghosts of Dickmas past, if I can just lift a phrase from MLD. Yeah, try to pray away last night's sins and bathe yourself in holy water, hoping that'll cleanse the hangover. The girls that are in the church right now, they get proselytized to, just like the way that the tradcons are here right now. Okay. Oh no, it's not your fault. Yeah, no, you can work on a couple of things, but ultimately it's these men that need to man up. Okay. Oh, they're just hearing all of this bad advice from the likes of Andrew Tate. Oh, they're getting all of this red pill rage in them, and they're hearing all of these manosphere talking points. What they're telling you is the truth. And again, what I'd like to know who they're actually taking the talking points from. Because, like, even if we go all the way back to Michael Knowles, which, sorry, bro, you got a really bad face on that one. I'll just go ahead and... it looks like he's looking on to Tate and adoration there for a minute. But it's more practical and it's more functional to listen to the guys that I would appreciate and the guys that I respect when it comes to... speaking on the modern dating scene, as opposed to somebody whose ideas worked in the 50s and early 60s. We don't live in that world anymore. We're not going back to it. The pendulum doesn't swing back. I know, as popular of a meme as that is, there's no swinging back. It's a forward path. Progressives have that right. It's just we have a choice. We can course correct. Okay? There are things that aren't working. Feminism, I think we came to the conclusion, this shit ain't fucking working anymore, okay? It never worked to begin with. It was tried, it failed. It's kind of like everything that you see with the trans movement right now. We tried it, it's a catastrophic failure, even quicker than feminism. Like, there's just some realities that you have to reconcile with, and tradcons are just going to push ahead forward because, hey, we're heading into a very contentious presidential election cycle, and they can just, throw all this manosphere stuff to the side. It's been hot for the past couple of years, but, we'll just continue to do our spots on whatever. Or maybe we'll just, set up a little back and forth where we can just bring some good average girls onto the panel. We could show you that not all is lost. Meanwhile, you aren't going to press them on any of their bad decisions or, bad choices that are out there. And you're not going to get a straight answer for them. It's like, see, there are actually some good girls that are out there because Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro, they haven't been out in the modern dating scene for, I'd imagine, Knowles said that he'd only been married for the past couple of years, but pre-pandemic and post-pandemic dating scene, that shit is even wildly different from there. So the world's a different place, and tradcons just can't reconcile with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have come to the end of our coverage right here. I'm just going to read the chat for a second. I'm going to open it up to questions. If you guys have any questions on this stuff, I don't know, I can only see the YouTube chat just very, very, very slightly on the side right there, but... other than that, man, you guys have been really blowing it up here tonight, and I really do appreciate it. I think we got, between the two platforms, I know it doesn't sound like much, and I know that there's other things going on, but north of 30 people turning out across both platforms in totality. Thank you very much. This is growing time after time, and you're going to be able to catch us all back here Saturday night as well. Saturdays, and I'm thinking, throw it up to you guys. Do you like Wednesday or do you like Thursday? Because I'm open to either, okay? Like, there are some things that I can change around, and we can do Thursday. Wednesday, for me, works out well, but I know that there's a lot of other shows that go on Wednesday, and I don't want to step on anybody else's regular habits that they have. And it's like 20 to 10, and there's some motherfucker opening up a two-stroke outside. These fucking idiots, man. Oh, my God. But, no, just, you guys like Wednesday? Because we'll still do the exact same stuff going for, and again, this is probably going to be like a 2.5-hour stream, but I like doing this. I really like doing this. It's just a lot of fun for me. So I'm going to go ahead and read the stuff that's in here as well. There's a length or girth. That's the first one that I see that's in here. But yeah, you guys go ahead and check over on the room bell. What do we got over here? Oh, we got some good soldiers over here. And yo, shout out to you guys going back and forth. Kind of hate modern women. Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Hating modern women, that's one thing, okay, that the tradcons are never going to tell you about the RP, the manosphere, or anything like that. Okay, if you understand and you listen to the people that I recommend, they're going to tell you the red pill, manosphere talking points, they aren't about learning how to hate women. It's about learning what women are and not hating them for anything that they're not going to be. The modern woman is going to do modern woman things. So the more that you understand their thought process and the more that you realize that their actions have had very little consequence, because your average guy, here's another thing, okay? People who talk about these sort of issues, I would say 20% of the entire population hears the message, and of that, and I might be generous when it comes to that, half of those people are actually going to adopt it and integrate it into their modern life and into their everyday activities, because red pill, manosphere stuff, okay, it needs to find a better term for that. Intersexual dynamics, I'll just go ahead on that. No, that applies to so much more than just women, okay? Like, I consider that, and that's why when it comes to Fresh and Fit and Tate and stuff, that's why I'd rather listen to them opine on other topics, because it's like, oh, okay, cool, women are just going to be fucking flumpy, okay, and you learn how to deal with them. Otherwise, they're just going to continue to be flumpy, because the 80% of people that are out there, your regular blue-pilled chumps, your simps, your tradcons that are going to be out there, they're just going to continue to do what the fuck they're going to do. They're going to get used and abused, and they're just going to end up punching air because, oh, my girlfriend, my wife, she was such a good girl, and then she just divorced me out of the blue. But then you don't realize that you're getting shit tested every single day, and if you don't hold frame every single opportunity, that good girl is going to become that bad modern woman that you think that you intrinsically hate. But if you understand women, if you understand people, then you also understand that they're never going to be your idealized, never going to be the idealized version that you had in your head when you were growing up. The Disney movies that are out there, they did irreparable damage on people's psyches growing up. So I know that wasn't even a question, but I just had to get that off my chest there for a second. Yeah. Salty Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, yeah. So salty streams on Wednesday. Okay, good to know that. Okay, so yeah, must have been nice being in a circle of high-level broads. It's interesting because that's another thing as well. And I'm seeing you guys, a couple of you guys going back and forth in the Rumble chat, and I really appreciate that, man. And if only Rumble would just get a better Android app, I'll be on the same page here. But they seem to be developing more chat functionality, which is pretty fantastic. But what the fuck was it? Oh, right. High level girls. It's interesting because you can find them everywhere, and they don't look like what you think a high-level girl looks like most of the time. Like, if you like the 9s and 10s, like every other red-blooded man that's out there, okay, they're going to be the most problems, okay? Because they've just been appreciated for their looks. They've never been told no, because nobody ever wants to fumble the bag. At least in their mind, that's what they think. And when it comes to wifing up those girls, they're going to be more of a problem. And this is something that Myron has said time and time again, and I like to cite my sources, okay? Hot women tend to be not very useful, tend to be useless because they've never had to be useful, because they are just appreciated for being, okay? And the moment, who said this one? I can't remember the exact origin of this one, but women mature, okay? Like the old meme that's out there, women mature faster than men. Well, that's not completely true. Physically speaking, yeah, of course. I think we can all figure that one out. But emotionally speaking, women only start to mature. And you also notice whenever you start to hear these 30-plus-year-old women start to talk about men's issues. Oh, I start to care about men's mental health. And it's like outside of just, like a throwaway topic. Take a look at your like Eliza Blues, your Sydney Watsons, post-30 women. When they stop getting that attention, that's when they start maturing. Aha! Once they stop just simply being appreciated for existing, when they stop getting all of the attention that they used to, when they have to start purchasing, and I know Donovan Sharp said this one to begin with, when women have to start purchasing their own drinks at the bar, that's a big turning point for them. So I forgot where I seen that to begin with. Okay, yeah, but high level girls for me, I like the 6s and 7s. that's what I like, and that's what I appreciate. Okay, like I can remember. When did we talk about this last? That might have been last week. I worked in a warehouse, a stock warehouse, a clothing store. 30 girls that were around there as well. Like there were some. Oh my god! Like there were some bad girls, but they were like. It's funny. They were complete airheads, but I joked with them, and we had just a very. That was one of those things where you just learn to play the field. You can really learn. You can learn female nature if you aren't invested in fucking everybody that's around there. You can learn a lot of stuff that's there. But the girls that I got along the best with were those average-looking girls, and those are the ones that I would normally pursue. Yep, sure, if there's like an 8 or a 9 that's there, yep, sure, wonderful, fantastic. But the chances of actually finding those girls for just everyday workaday guys, it's like slim and none. You might catch one out in the wild if she just turned 18 before she gets flued out or gets thrown on a yacht. But chances of you actually finding a genuine 9, okay? I know most guys are just like, well, every girl's a 7, and then when she opens her mouth, she loses a... It's like you gotta understand that there's going to be a general level of stupidity that pops out, okay? Even if you just talk with your average person that's out there, they're more than likely not very articulate, not very bright, not very thought out, not very well socially calibrated. That's incumbent on you in order to develop your own skills so that you aren't that bumbling on the spectrum asshole that walks out of the house and has nothing to say to anybody. Because if you don't have anything to offer, then guess what? If you don't have anything to offer, okay, you're unlikely to find anybody who's willing to receive the help that you want to give them. It's a long way around of saying make yourself the best version of yourself in order to attract other people that are the best versions of themselves. I think I got that covered over there. So I know you guys are just Hey, there it is. Oh, Memetic, man, you've been blowing it up on both sides. Shout out to you, man. Like, hey, great stuff over there. I appreciate you guys. And shout out, what do we got over here on YouTube? I see the chat. Yeah, just scroll them between 3 people. Okay. I'm speaking to y'all in specific. Okay. Can't turn a 304 into a none. Yeah, there comes a point in time where it's just absolutely fucking bust. I'm just scrolling up a little bit, and I know my buddy George here, finally got it. Yeah, shout out to you. It's one of those things God has been working in my life an insane amount. Yo, that's fantastic. The 3 Abrahamic religions share so much in common, and that's something. I'm probably going to record a video on this tomorrow, but there are some people who want to engage with Islam right now, especially on social media, in such bad faith, and they're just wishing that it gets torn down to a point where it's on par with Catholicism. It's interesting because there's something that's out there, and I'm going to have to dig into the methodology of this when I do the video on it, but thinking that American Muslims are now being accepting of homosexuality, I think that there's more to say about one description over the other one that's really doing all of the heavy lifting. But If you just engage with something that gives you value and principles, something that instills in you some sort of purpose, a greater purpose, regardless if it's the Bible, if it's the Torah, if it's the Quran, if it's one of the Eastern religions, even though it's more or less just like energy and shit like that. But if there's anything that provides you guideposts and how you, what the idealized life is supposed to be, but then you can also extrapolate that out to fit a more modern reality. Shout out to you, man. Like, there's nothing more spectacular than that. Spot on. Yo, you guys are hilarious. Okay, just going back and forth. Yo, all you guys just going back and forth in the chat. Like, this is what I generally like. This is what I wanted to see back when I was just specifically doing videos. Just a little community forming. You guys going back and forth in the comment section, because that's something that I don't see online. Just a group of like-minded people. People of this persuasion. Like, you see a bunch of dorks that are out there saying, well, yeah, sheesh, this Star Wars spin-off is not faithful to the original I don't fucking care. It's just so vacuous. You can't really learn anything. Sure, if you analyze media, there are things that you can learn from that. You can figure out what's being congruent, what is true to a plot line. You can learn specific messages, and it's great from there. But when you start to get bogged down into the weeds, and that's not the Luke Skywalker I grew up with. That character got me through a tough time. And it's like, what are you, fucking 6? Or you not growing up? There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but just fucking Christ, man, grow up. Right. This day and age, body count doesn't really matter in this day and age. I just hope the girl would be low in that area. Yeah, and also, because I've scrolled up quite a bit and you guys just keep going back and forth, which is fantastic, and just trying to chime in on some of this stuff as well. It's like body count. It's interesting, man, because a girl's never going to tell you her actual body count. You can, just the meme responses that are out there, you multiply it by 3, you divide by 1, then you add 7, then you'll get something close to the approximation. There are things called hotels. Okay, a girl who's fucked around, been in a lot of places, who knows a bunch of people at different places, who has experienced certain things. Ho for the streets. You know how they move. And that's why it's so important. Okay, and speaking back to Ben Shapiro there for a second, he wifed up his girl after 2 months. Vet your prospects. And that goes for the women and for the men that are in the chat right now. Okay, vet who you're going to be giving your time, your resources, and your energy to. Okay, I'm also just not saying don't just hook up with anybody that's out there. Oh, you're attractive, well, you're mine now. That is such base level shit, and that's also the straw man that the people that like to critique these ideas like to erect, and it's just not accurate. It's not accurate at all. So you're never going to get a straight tell on the body count. Okay. Someone just opening their Bible as an adult. The Book of John. Okay. As Rollo talks about, I don't think the red pill is religious or political. Yeah, exactly. Yo, Memetic, you must have been reading some of the Rational Male. I think that it's a fundamental and foundational reading. Regardless, a man or a woman, you can learn so much. I'm just pointing over to my little personal library that I have over there. And yeah, read through all 4 of them. I think Positive Masculinity is one that's vastly overlooked, mostly because it's aimed specifically towards, the first half of the book is aimed specifically towards fathers and how you can traverse being zeroed out, and then also just having a family as well. There's a lot of gems and a lot of nuggets that are in there, especially for the modern age. Okay, and yeah, Rollo, he's on the Mount Rushmore of red pill, like. Obviously, it goes without saying. Let's go. Thank you. Yeah, and George, that's what I made mention of earlier. You shouting out fucking locals, you crazy bastard. Yo, I set that up. I don't know what to do over. I got ideas of what I want to do over there, but yo, You doing that was exceptionally generous, completely unexpected, and really motivated me this morning, because you wake up and it's like you see a message that you don't normally recognize. And it's like, oh, fuck, what got terminated now? But it was actually some good news. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's weird to get support after all this time. Just saying. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Oh yeah, I've got to I'll check it off stream, but I think of all the videos, what I got up on Rumble, it's like 3,000 videos or something like that. I got to check it now that it's updated, now that the views are actually accumulated. But for the longest time, I had like $1 over there. Like it's wild what Rumble was doing for a minute, but yeah. Oh, no idea what flute out is. Oh, it's just a joke. It's girls in their DMs, they get propositioned with, I can fly you out. Okay, if it's like a rapper, it's an athlete, or even just some sugar daddy that's out there that just wants to get a girl and bring her out and, you know, fuck her and then just send her back out for a weekend. Just give her an experience, take her on a trip or something like that. That's what I mean by getting flued out. Okay, hopefully that clears that up. Chuckle every time you say flued out. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah. Oh, Jennifer had it there anyways. Okay, so yeah. Don Colin, big old boy, Big Mac. Rolo so in depth. Yeah. I know I read books, nerd, but I actually put this shit into practice, okay? Because there was a tweet, oh my god, speaking of those media dorks that were online, okay? Taking that out of context, like, oh, see, Andrew Tate says that he doesn't read books. And it's like, if you actually read the rest of the tweet, he's saying that there's a bunch of mental masturbators that are out there that just think, oh, geez, if I just get a whole bunch of self-improvement books, I'm going to become a more complete individual. But then when they read their chapter for the day, they just go sit in the bathroom and jack off into a tissue. And it's like, you don't really accomplish anything. You get all that mental stimulation that you actually did something good, but in actuality, you did fuck all. You did fuck all. So it's just simple mental masturbation. Oh, my voice is starting to go. Okay, so yeah. No, I'm just a pick. I'm calling it, yeah. No, for sure. So it's wild, okay? Like, you guys just listen to sticking around, listening to me proselytize, just going back and forth. Yeah. In a frozen minute. Here. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So yeah, if you guys have anything specific other than that, I'll probably close it out right at the top of the hour. We're just a couple minutes through, so hang out for a few more minutes, and then your boys got to go eat. Okay, so it's been a day so far. It's been a hell of a lot of fun. This is easily, of the 4 streams that I've done so far, this one's definitely been the most fun. The chat has been the most active. I really got to elaborate on a bunch of different important talking points. A lot of topics were discussed here today, and I'm very happy that I get to share this with you guys. It's so great to be going here on Saturday for sure. And then yeah, readjusting. We'll see what happens with Turnout on Wednesday, because we'll probably go on Wednesday. And what was it? Vice. If you guys were around on Wednesday for the bonus video that I did at the end of the Trump coverage when it came to that feminist panel from 2019, which was also very eye-opening as well. That little segment right there, Vice copyright claimed it. Can you fucking believe that stuff? But then that also harkens back to next week. Depending on how wild and crazy the news cycle goes, I want to take a look at those different roundtables, the 45-minute long roundtables that Vice was doing. The one on femininity from a while back that everybody reacted to, but I know I've watched different coverage of that, and I know that I can interject a couple of different things on that, so I think it could still be relevant. And then the one on masculinity, I definitely want to do that. Don't know which order I want to do that stuff in, but that could be, I think that's going to be a lot of fun, so stay tuned for that. Just don't know what order that's going to be, so my pleasure. Echo stronger to the woman. Yeah, I know, exactly. Cool. Yeah, man. They copyright the... Yeah, they copyright the Transformer panel. Oh, yeah. Exactly. The only passable trans that I've ever seen before. Mostly because, you know who she looked like? If you guys weren't there for that, okay, I got this actually down for a second. And I've got, oh, fuck, where was that? Right, okay, so I was on the channel right there. This is how we're going to close out because she looked exactly like that. I know that it's over here. Which show is she on? God damn it. It was fun. Oh, okay, I'm covering up half of the shit as well. Okay, that's better. Fucking. Actually, if I do this, again, another reason why I need to have a standing keyboard, or I'm sorry, standing desk. There we go. Oh yeah, right here.
All right, and we are live. What's up, guys?
Okay. All right. Okay, so for those of you who were there on Wednesday and you got to watch along with that panel, she looks exactly like Big Phantom. That's why it threw me off there for a second, okay? For Christ's sakes, okay? All of that just for a stupid fucking joke. Jesus Christ. But yeah. Anyways, about the top of the hour. I've really appreciated everybody who's turned out for this. This was, like I said, a hell of a lot of fun. Shout out to George for sticking around the entire time, you crazy bastard. I've seen Roger point out, I'll just do a roll call on all you guys for turning out, and I really do appreciate that. Yeah. CDP, shout out to you, man. I see you pop into these streams all the goddamn time. Shout out to you, man. And yo, Memetic Militia, you were around on Wednesday as well. Just everybody who's in the chat, man. You guys are fantastic. Yeah. Roger, man, I see you on Twitter as well. Shout out to you guys. And George, George as well. And then Jen, thanks for stopping by as well. You're in here as well all the time. Non sequitur, if you're still kicking around, man. I know it's been a minute. Shout out to you. Ron, I seen you pop by. Yeah, I seen your little icon pop up just on the side of the screen. Hopefully everything's going well out there, my man. And then, shout out to my boys over on Rumble, Bree, Drunk, Crazy Drunk Pedestrian, and then Memetic popping over there as well. So, you guys fucking rule. That was a hell of a lot of fun. Like I said, and there's only so many times that I can say that before it's time to punch out. But, I think you guys know this. I think you know the sign off at this point in time. So, with all that said, thank you all once again for turning out this Saturday night. You could have been anywhere that you wanted to be in the entire world, but you chose to spend it here with me and everybody in the chat. Shout out to you guys. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.